Our next witness, Your Honor, is Elizabeth Mars.
Mars.
Okay.
M-A-R-S?
M-A-R-Z.
M-A-R-Z. Thank you.
All right.
Please state your full name for the record.
Elizabeth Ray Mars.
Between the time that you lived in New York, so let's say 2007, 2008 through 2015, 16, how many times would you estimate that you saw Ms. Heard?
I don't remember.
More than 4 times?
No.
Okay.
In 2015 and 16, do you recall how close you and Ms. Pennington were as friends?
Yeah, we were pretty close. Pretty close.
In your previous testimony, I'll represent to you,
This
Ms.
is
Mars,
useful.
that you testified that at least in July of 2016, you would communicate with Ms. Pennington weekly.
I don't remember. Maybe at that time, perhaps we were communicating. Like I said, there were moments where we were communicating weekly or daily.
Would you agree with me that you would remember something as significant as one of your girlfriends telling you, somebody you've known since Texas, when you were young girls, you would remember if Ms. Heard told you that her husband or fiance or boyfriend was beating her? You would remember that, correct?
She would probably remember that, yeah.
And your testimony is that you only lived at the Eastern Columbia building in February of 2016 for 2 weeks?
It was around 2 weeks. I don't know the specific amount of time, but it was definitely a little over 2 weeks, less than a month. And yes.
And when you stayed at the Eastern Columbia building,
So
did
she
you
never
stay
even
in one
told
of
her?
the penthouses?
Yes.
Okay. And did you
Okay.
understand that that penthouse was owned by Mr. Depp at the time?
I assumed it was, yes.
And for what purpose did you go to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016?
It's from 1990.
To assist Raquel in getting ready for a bead show that she was going to be doing the following day.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp be violent towards anyone?
I experienced him that night as like I was scared of him.
Uh-huh.
So that's all I can say from the moment that the one interaction I had with him that night. It was frightening to me. His behavior was frightening to me.
Why?
No, she wouldn't wear makeup?
I mean,
But why?
I don't think of her as someone who wears a lot of makeup. No.
Yeah, you've known her a long time.
Right.
She's never been somebody that wears a lot of makeup, correct?
Exactly. Unless she's going to something that she needs to put makeup on for.
Okay.
Right. But other than that, she's usually barefaced and beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's your recollection, your best recollection, that Miss Pennington was with you in Penthouse 5 and never left with Miss Heard before Mr. Depp arrived. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So you hear some type of commotion. You don't know where it's coming from, correct?
It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like it's coming from, we hear commotion and then it feels like it's getting closer and closer and closer.
Okay.
Did it sound like voices, or did it sound like destruction?
It sounded like voices and destruction.
That's a
But the door
lot.
was abruptly opened, correct?
Abruptly open.
Okay, so you hear the commotion. It feels like it's getting closer and closer. What happened next?
Then, soon after the door slammed open and Johnny came like bursting through the door.
Who opened the door?
Johnny.
Okay. Was Johnny alone?
There was the 2 men behind him.
Okay.
They're bodyguards, yeah.
So Johnny opens the door.
Right.
He's got his 2, what we'll assume are his bodyguards, with him. What happens next?
So it all happened very fast. The door kind of burst open and he came in very, just from my perspective, really under the influence of something, drugs or alcohol, because he was
Probably both.
very sloppily, he looked wasted. He was holding a very large bottle of wine, looked like some sort of like a Magnum bottle of wine, which was kind of spilling all over the place. And as he opened the door, he just, what I remember what he mumbled was, "Get your bitch out of here." And I just remember it all happened very fast, like the door slamming, him saying, "Get your bitch out of here," the wine, that whole, his whole
Oh my
being
God.
really frightened me. It almost felt like he was coming towards me from my perspective. Whether he was coming towards me or not, it scared me.
Yeah.
And I just ran out. past him.
You said Mr. Depp appeared to be either drunk or high. Is that correct?
He seemed to be intoxicated.
Okay.
Okay. Is that different than drunk?
No, I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, he definitely seemed like he was under the influence of something.
And on May 21st, 2016, how was Mr. Depp's demeanor different?
He was, it was much more sloppy and all over the place and frightening and
Okay.
Yeah, combative. You know, felt very angry. He felt angry, and yeah.
And when you say combative, what was combative specifically about his demeanor?
Just the way he burst through the room, just very forcefully.
He's pissed.
And rushed in very quickly to the point that it made me want to get past him and run out very quickly. Like it wasn't an invite. It was very.
In his own house?
Yeah, it was intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr.
Okay.
Depp comes through the door
He's like the Kool-Aid man.
to Penthouse 5,
Yeah.
and you hear him say something to the effect of, "Get your bitch out of here," correct? Mm-hmm. And then
did you?
You ran out immediately thereafter?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Depp spill any wine in Penthouse 5 before you ran out?
Yes.
Okay.
How much wine did you see him spill?
I don't remember.
A lot? The entire bottle?
Not the entire bottle. What I remember was it was flailing, and there was definitely wine that
Okay.
was coming out.
Would you say that being sloppy is different than being combative?
Yeah, I would say sloppy and combative are two different things.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was on May 21st, 2016, both combative and sloppy, correct?
Yeah, I would describe it that there was a little bit of both. Yes, but combative and sloppy.
Was
Okay.
he more sloppy than he was combative?
It felt more combative than sloppy.
And
Oh,
just to clarify, the
okay.
only thing that was combative was the words he was speaking?
No, it was completely the way he entered into the room, rushed in, his
He was
energy,
mad.
the way it felt like he was coming after me, like he almost felt like, from where I was standing, it felt like he was charging towards me, and I was scared, and it was, it felt, yeah, combative. It felt, I'm trying to look for another word that can describe what I felt, but it was, you know, it was scary. My heart was beating really fast, very quickly, and I was freaked out.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Sure.
Okay, so after you exchanged some text messages with Miss Pennington, you came out of your hiding spot and then went to Miss Pennington and Mr. Drew's penthouse. Is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
So who was in Penthouse 1 when you got out of the hiding spot and came to Penthouse 1?
I mean, it was Josh, Raquel, Amber, and I were the people that were at some point in there during that time.
Okay.
Do you remember the first time you saw Miss Heard after this incident?
I remember seeing her after that incident, and it was in that apartment.
In Penthouse 1.
Correct.
So
Sure.
the first time you saw Miss Heard after this incident on May 21st, 2016 was in Penthouse 1. What do you recall seeing, the first thing you saw
Okay.
when you saw Miss Heard?
Yeah. What'd she look like?
I just remember she looked really upset and disheveled, and her hair was a mess, and she had a swollen face.
Okay.
She had a red, swollen face.
Okay. Had you ever seen Miss Heard cry before May 21st, 2016?
Okay. Okay.
I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
So she doesn't know if the face was swollen from crying or not.
What side of her face was swollen?
I think it was her right side of her face.
Do you have an independent recollection that it was the right side of her face that was swollen?
I'm taking myself back there and trying to remember like where I was
Okay.
standing versus, you know what I mean? I think it was, yeah, I think looking at her, it was on my left and her right side.
All right, okay.
Okay. So let's talk about her hair seemed disheveled. Is that what you said? Her hair was disheveled.
The fuck does that mean?
Was she crying?
Yeah, there was definitely tears.
Was
She
she
was
animated?
upset. Messed.
Yeah, she was visibly really upset.
Okay. So visibly
Like
very
me.
upset means what? She was crying. Okay. And what else?
Tears, sadness, felt like confusion, felt like those were the main things. that
Would
were
you
happening.
describe? What did Mr.
True.
Drew say, if anything?
I don't remember him saying what he said. I
Okay.
think everybody was just shaken up.
People were upset, all right.
So soon after you went into Penthouse 1, you remember some police officers coming to
I
Penthouse 1.
remember there was police officers in the hallway.
Was Miss Heard icing her face after the incident, but before the police arrived?
I think so.
Who gave her the ice?
I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah,
So you were in Penthouse 1 when the police came.
right.
How do you know that they came? What did you hear? What did you see?
9 more, thanks for 5 cents, thank you.
Because they said the police are here. So I
Who
remember.
said that?
I don't remember.
Well, how do you not remember
Again,
that?
this is a very long time ago, so
I
the
guess-
specific details are going to be really hard for me to remember.
Yeah, it kind of
I just
makes
know,
sense.
knowing that the police were there in the hallway, 2 of them.
And in February, when you lived at the penthouse for a few weeks, you didn't hear or see any abuse by Mr. Depp towards Miss Heard, correct?
Correct. Right.
And did you go to Amber and Johnny's penthouse thereafter, or where did you go?
Well,
So I just remember at some point ending up. Yes, at some point we were.
I've heard
in
that a lot.
Their penthouse afterwards. In Johnny
Yeah, we've
Amber's.
heard that a lot,
At some point
man.
we went over there.
And did you go over there, you think, after the police came?
It was after the first 2 police officers came.
Okay. Do you remember glass on the floor?
At this point in time, I don't remember what I saw. I don't remember if it was cleaned up by the time I got there or if there was glass on the floor when I walked in.
Do you recall seeing wine
Okay.
spilled?
I recall seeing wine spilled in the hallway, like a lot of wine spilled in the hallway.
When do you recall seeing the wine spilled in the hallway?
At some point in the night, maybe after, before.
yeah, sure.
I recall, I don't remember specifically, but I remember seeing wine spilled in the hallway.
It's a mega
I remember
spill.
that being one of the things that I saw that was part of the
Yeah.
destruction of whatever happened.
Okay, so the police come, and you stayed in Penthouse 1.
Correct.
Okay. It was after the police officers left that you went to Penthouse 3, correct? Where Amber and Johnny lived?
Correct.
Recall
Okay.
seeing wine spilled in the hallway?
I remember seeing wine spilled in the hallway, yeah.
Okay. And you saw the wine after the police officers came, correct?
I think so.
Didn't Miss Pennington take any photographs of the scene?
I remember Raquel taking photographs of Amber's face.
Okay. And now going to your description of Miss Heard's face.
So
you
that
said it
was the
right side
wine.
of
That was the
face.
one we didn't see.
You
Yeah.
said it was, what, swollen and red? What else?
Okay.
Yeah, it was swollen and red.
Was any part of her face more swollen than others?
It was around her eye.
Had bruising developed already?
No, it was red and swollen.
Okay.
Okay.
So you did not see any bruising on Miss Heard's face the evening of May 21st, 2016, correct?
I saw a red, swollen, puffy face.
Okay. And just
The fuck?
on the right side, correct?
Correct.
But wasn't it your testimony, Ms. Mars, that you were inside Penthouse 1 when the first police officers came to the scene?
Correct.
Sure.
And how much time do you estimate they spent in the penthouses?
I don't remember. The second group of officers, there was 2 sets of officers that came. The second set of officers that I actually was in the apartment in PH3, I think it was.
Did you hear about either Miss Heard, Mr. Drew, or Miss Pennington cleaning anything that Mr. Depp allegedly destroyed?
I don't remember, but I do remember that I'm pretty sure that Josh was helping to clean up.
She doesn't really remember hardly
Before
anything.
I remember that,
Yeah.
knowing that the place was cleaned up before I entered in there.
Yeah, she doesn't remember anything.
Before you entered into where?
Into the main apartment.
So you recall
Yeah.
Josh Drew cleaning up before you entered penthouse 3.
Remembers the narrative, though? Not really.
What was he cleaning up exactly?
I just remember by the time that I had gotten into that apartment that someone had cleaned up the glass and the wine that was on the floor.
Okay.
Who told you that penthouse
Sure.
3 had been cleaned up?
No one specifically told me. It was, what I was expressing is that it was cleaned up before I got there for the most part. I just remember
Got it.
that for the most part. From what I don't remember.
To clarify, Ms. Mars, when you came into penthouse 3,
I forget what happened
after
yesterday.
the police officers,
Well,
the first set of
I know.
police officers came and left,
But she's like, if they don't know what happened, why are they talking about
you
it?
did not see
You see what I'm saying? Why are they talking about it? They don't know what happened.
silver candlesticks, candelabra sticks,
Candelabra.
broken on the floor, baskets of fruit that had been on the kitchen island, fruit everywhere, baskets on the ground, containers holding the spoons and forks, kitchen utensils spilled, a lamp, a little statue thing, broken in penthouse 5. I'm sorry, penthouse 3.
Okay.
Now that I'm reading this, I'm sort of remembering that there was like some stuff that had like something that had been broken, like a little like the statue thing kind of sounds familiar to me now that I'm reading this, but again, I don't remember when I walked in if there was, and I don't remember this being on the floor.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing.
Okay. So you don't remember seeing it?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember. But again, as I'm reading this statue, when I see the statue, there's something that's like, oh, maybe, yeah, I feel like I remember there was some things that were broken, but I don't specifically remember what they were.
You did not witness
I
firsthand
didn't
what?
firsthand anything. I didn't witness firsthand Johnny abusing Amber. But
Okay.
Do you recall testifying to that effect? That Johnny charged at you and then you were scared?
he charged towards me, and I was scared. I ran past him.
So he was just walking
You
out of the
run
room.
past him because he told everyone in that penthouse to get out of his penthouse?
I
Okay.
ran past him because he ran into the unit, and it scared the shit out of me because he was wasted and screaming.
Yeah, I think
So,
that would make sense. Sure.
That's why I ran out. If there's a grown-ass man coming at you and saying, get your bitch out of here, and
Yeah.
swinging a Magnum-sized bottle of wine, I'm sure, I don't know what anyone do. I can't
Yeah,
say
he's
what anyone
popping
did,
off.
but I ran out.
And will you just remind us what side of Miss Heard's face you recall the marks being on May 21st, 2016?
Okay.
The right side of her face?
Do you feel indebted to Miss Heard in any way?
No.
Have you ever done Miss Heard's makeup?
No.
You testified earlier today that Miss Heard often, in the times you saw her, would not be wearing makeup. Is that correct?
I thought she said
Is
she
it
was always
possible in
wearing
some
makeup.
of those times that she was wearing the type of makeup we ladies sometimes use to not appear as though we're wearing makeup?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell whether or not she was wearing basic concealer or foundation?
Correct.
Okay, so she wouldn't
Talking
even
about
really
the
know.
references,
Okay.
What did you hear?
Yeah, just screaming, yelling, doors slamming, commotion.
Could you tell whether the
Her lawyer
screaming
did,
and
okay.
yelling was a male voice or a female voice?
From what I can remember, male.
Okay.
And could you tell where the screaming and the yelling was coming from?
It felt like it was started farther down the hallway, and then it was coming like closer. So essentially, I mean, I don't know, but it could have been the hallway.
All right, yeah, sure. That makes sense. I can understand that.
And so after you start hearing the screaming and the yelling and the door slamming and the commotion, you testify that Mr. Drew got up and went to the door?
Yeah.
What did Mr. Drew do?
Okay.
He was kind of pacing by the door and looking through the peephole.
And what happened next?
And then the door like burst open and Johnny came charging in.
Okay.
And screamed, again, holding the magnum-sized bottle of wine, you know, flailing it around, looked intoxicated, kind of stumbling.
How is
and
everything
screamed, "Get your bitch out of here," as he
like larger
ran
than average?
in my direction, and I was scared. It was very frightening, and
It's just funny.
scary and unexpected, and so I just darted out past him and ran up towards the pool gym area and hid there.
Prior to the night of May 21, 2016, had a man ever charged at you holding a magnum bottle of wine, screaming profanities?
Objection.
And what was your reaction to this event
Has
when
this-
it happened on May 21,
Has this ever happened to you before?
Fear.
Yeah, no.
Besides the screaming and the door slamming and the wine waving, do you recall anything else about Mr. Depp's actions that evening? During that moment, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Just erratic. I would describe it as erratic behavior.
Okay. It's not very dangerous, though, is it? I feel like erratic behavior. What does that mean?
Was anyone else with Mr. Depp when he charged into Penthouse 5?
Behind him were two
Bodyguards, right?
men.
Yeah.
What about Miss Heard?
No,
Okay.
What about Miss Pennington?
no.
Okay.
So you testified that after Mr. Depp burst into the apartment and started charging towards you, that you darted out and hid in, I believe it's a communal exercise area, is that correct?
Yeah, I darted out and went up the stairs and hid somewhere over by there
Why did you hide?
because I was scared.
Sorry, say again, why did you hide?
Because I was scared.
What were you scared of?
I just didn't know what he would do. I didn't know what he would do.
Okay.
And the he there is
Makes
who?
sense, sure.
Johnny.
Yeah, that's
What were
understandable.
you thinking when you were hiding in the communal exercise area?
I don't remember. Just that I just remember being scared
Okay.
and not wanting to leave that area until like I was clear that I wasn't going to be attacked.
That
And at
makes
some point,
sense,
did you leave the
sure.
area?
Yes.
And what prompted you to leave the area?
A text with Raquel, just telling her to come to her and Josh's apartment.
And did you do as Ms. Pennington said and go to her and Josh's apartment?
Yes.
That's nice.
Sitting here today, do you remember what you were thinking as you were sort of coming out of your hiding spot and walking towards the penthouses again?
A hiding spot.
I think the whole thing was just bizarre, like really frightening and bizarre to me. I don't
Okay.
specifically remember what I was thinking other than like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened, you know? And
I like her. I think this is.
is he gone?
Yeah,
Maybe
she's
I was
all right.
thinking that. I don't remember specifically.
Yeah.
And when you say, is he gone, who's the he you're referring to there?
Oh my
Johnny.
God.
When you got to Miss Pennington's and Mr. Drew's penthouse,
Simp?
who'd
Yeah,
you
sure.
see? Who was there?
I don't remember who was specifically there when I first walked in, but throughout the time being in there in that moment, definitely Amber, Raquel, and Josh. And maybe like just by peeping into the hallway, one of the police officers.
Why
When
the
you saw
fuck do
Miss
people
Heard
drink that?
After you came back down from your hiding spot and you're in
Ugh.
Mr. Drew's and Miss Pennington's apartment, how did she look?
She looked frazzled and just completely disheveled. Her hair was
Soda.
all over the place. She
Like a
had
normal
a
person.
swollen face.
The fuck?
Looked like she had been crying. And
Oh.
yeah,
Do you think the swollen face was a result of her having been crying?
no.
What do you think it was a result of?
It looked like she'd been like hit in some way. Like it was not from crying. She
Okay.
had markings on her face.
Were
Right.
the marks that she saw in Miss Heard's face after you came down from your
We can
hiding
fix
spot
her? Yeah, sure.
present when you had been hanging out with her earlier in the day?
No.
You testified earlier today that you witnessed some, I believe it was Miss Pennington or Mr. Drew, take some photos of Miss Heard's face. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to mark what will be Mars Exhibit 13.
Let's see it.
Miss Mars,
All right,
as the
here we
court
go.
reporter hands you Exhibit 13, I'll represent to you that these were some photos taken on the night of May 21st, 2016. So if you turn to the second photo in the set, do you recognize the person in this photograph?
Yes.
Who is it?
Amber.
And do you see any marks on her face in this photograph?
Yes.
And do these
Seems
marks
that
look
way.
like the marks that you saw in person on her face on the evening of March 21, 2016?
Yes.
And just to
Okay.
clarify, these marks were not on her face when you saw Miss Heard earlier that same afternoon and were helping Miss Pennington make beads.
Correct.
There are other photos in this set. Why don't we turn back to the first one? Some broken frames on a bed. Do you know what this picture is of?
Wait, broken frames. How do we
Yeah,
know they're
this
broken?
is Amber and Johnny's
What?
bed. And there's photographs on it.
Ain't nobody
So
ever
I
said
take it
that.
You've seen Amber and Johnny's bedroom before.
Yes.
Do you recall whether you went into Mr. Depp's and Miss Heard's bedroom that night?
No.
The
No, you
horse
don't
shit.
recall, or no, you didn't?
No.
This
I
horse shit.
Don't recall.
The next photo
Oh
on
my
the set
God,
is the picture
man.
of Miss Heard. Just after that, there's a photo, you're with me, of what appears to be a hallway. Are you with me?
Yes.
Do you recognize what this is an image of?
Yes.
Okay.
What is it an image of?
It's the hallway between all the penthouse apartments.
So you've been on this hallway many times.
Yes.
Do you see the sort of red staining on the right-hand corner of the page?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing that red staining the night of May 21, 2016?
Yes.
And what was it?
It was wine.
So you saw that staining
So that
on the
was
night of
there,
May
yeah.
21, 2016.
Yes.
Do you recall whether it was there when you
What
arrived
you're saying
in
is
the
Amber's
afternoon?
best day in court. Do you agree?
I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing
this is
it,
the
no.
this has
So
been the
when was
best
the
day
first
for
time
her
you
for
remember
sure.
seeing it?
I
Absolutely. Without a
think
question.
when I came out of my hiding spot and came downstairs back into Raquel and
I mean, the
Josh's
other ones were
apartment.
really bad.
But you didn't see the wine get spilled.
I mean, this one
Not
was
this
just
one.
like okay.
You saw other wine get spilled?
So
I
yeah.
saw- yeah. As he was-
Comparatively,
and
it's way
when
better.
He came in the apartment when he was flailing the wine.
And the he there is.
Johnny.
Then the last photo in this set appears to be of some picture frames hanging on a wall. Do you see that?
This
Yes,
was terrible
I
for
think
her.
it's in
Yeah,
Amber and
exactly.
Johnny's apartment, I think. But again, I don't remember if it's in her studio. I don't know.
Do you recall seeing this photo in one of the penthouses before?
Yes.
And when you saw it, was it broken?
No.
And what, if anything, do you remember about Miss Pennington's state?
Also,
What the hell that mean?
distraught.
Okay.
Upset.
You'd been friends with Miss Pennington for many years at that point, correct?
Correct.
Had you ever seen her similarly distraught?
Not similarly, but seen her sad.
But have you ever seen her have the same reaction that
Okay.
she had that evening?
No.
So you also testify that you saw Mr. Drew in his and Miss Pennington's penthouse. What, if anything, do you remember about Mr. Drew's state?
Okay. All right. What is this?
I just remember him being just a grounding energy, just
That was the guy from earlier.
trying to be supportive to Amber and to Raquel, and just really
All right.
trying to be like the man in the situation that was gonna like really be grounded amongst like women that were sort of like frightened and sort of a little more frantic. He was very grounded and very like clear, and I remember like feeling safe with him. Like he was like, protection.
You testified earlier today that, quote, there are some things that I really remember.
That's good.
And some things that are a little shady, end quote. Which
Oh my
bucket do the
God.
marks
I
that you
love
saw
it.
on Ms. Heard's face on the evening of May 21, 2016
Yeah.
fall into? The things that were a little shady, or the
Mm-hmm.
things that you really remember?
That I really remember.
Okay, so now what?
All right. Your next witness?
Witness, Your Honor, is Melanie Iglesias, and that is also by video, and I will say
Let's see it.
that begins with Ms. Vasquez questioning first, and then,
Okay.
then I come back.
Let's see it. All
Can you
right,
spell
let's
it last
go.
name just for the
So that
recording?
girl didn't know anything, I feel.
Inglessis.
I feel like she didn't know anything. Yeah, like she was just like, yeah, I never
State
saw
your name
them.
and address for the record.
Okay, here we go, here we go, here we
My
go.
name is Melanie Iglesias.
And Ms. Iglesias, what's Whoops, your it's me occupation?
Oh,
first.
I'm a makeup artist.
And
She's a
you,
makeup
in fact,
artist.
are a
Okay.
professional makeup artist, correct?
Correct.
When did you first meet Amber Heard?
Volume? I feel like volume's a little bit low.
April 2015.
And what was the occasion?
Tribeca Film Festival in New York.
Okay.
And were you providing makeup services for her on that occasion?
Correct.
Okay. And did you become friends with Amber Heard after that?
I did.
That's
Ms. Iglesias,
nice.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 7. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Is this more about...
Yes. I recall seeing this on the kitchen of the penthouse. When you enter, they have a bar kitchen
Okay.
to the left, and that was there. Yes.
But when you came to the penthouse after Amber had texted you, whether it was that night or the next day, you saw this in the kitchen. Is that correct? Painted?
Lack of foundation.
And so you do recall being there that evening?
I do recall being there. You know, my only concern with all of this is that was it the day before or during another incident. But it says if my text said I was there the night before, then I was there the night before.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 9.
Okay.
Do you recognize what is depicted in this photo?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bed. It looks like, I mean, it's a very tight picture of the bed, but it's a bed.
And do you recall seeing this the
Yeah.
night of December 15 with the broken part of the bed?
Upstairs, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you say upstairs, what do you mean?
Well, her bed, the
The
bedroom
knife
was
on the
upstairs.
bed, yeah.
And the downstairs had the kitchen with the writing.
It's a knife on the
Do you
bed.
remember where the other property that you
Makeup
saw was? Was that downstairs or upstairs? The property that was damaged. Was that upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs.
All right, and just so I'm clear, you recall damage to the bed, is that correct?
And asked and answered.
On December 16, 2015, did you return to Amber Heard's penthouse?
Yes.
And why did you come to Amber Heard's penthouse on December 16?
That's a good question. Why is that?
It was the James Corden show. She had an appearance, so I came back to work.
And
This is when
when
she
you
said her face
arrived
was
at the
fucked up.
penthouse on December 16,
Okay, okay.
please describe for me what you observed about Amber Heard's face and any injuries.
Okay.
When I came to the penthouse on December 16 to do Amber's makeup, she had injuries. She had two light, like,
Yes, it's a
I don't
picture.
know how, I
Yeah.
don't know, I mean, I'm not a medical expert, I don't know how I would describe them, but it could have looked like somebody had headbutted her lightly, so she had a discoloration here, under both eyes, and on the bridge of the nose. And she had
Johnny
what I
Depp
would
said
call
that
a
happened.
split lip or something on the lip.
Yeah.
Like a
He literally
gash or
said that.
split lip.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as exhibit number 11.
It's extremely specific.
Do you
I don't know.
recognize this photo as
Yeah, like
being
this was
Amber
already-
Heard's head?
We already knew that.
Yes.
Okay. And could you please describe for me what this photo is showing?
Uh-huh.
It's showing a chunk of missing hair.
And what, if anything, did you observe on December 16 about Amber Heard missing a chunk of hair?
I remember this because she showed it to us, and I looked at it.
Okay.
Okay.
And can you describe what is depicted right along her scalp there?
I don't know.
Do you recall that there was some bruising along the scalp and some pus, for lack of a better word?
Oh,
I don't recall.
okay.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 14. Do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes.
And who is that?
This is Amber Heard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And were these, you just described
Okay.
what you saw on the 16th with respect to Amber Heard's injuries. Does this accurately depict what you saw on Amber Heard on December 16, 2015?
Yes.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as Exhibit 16. Again, do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yeah.
Yes.
And who
Right,
is that?
okay. Sure.
Amber Heard.
Okay. And does this picture reflect the injuries that you saw on Amber Heard on December 16, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask you to take a look at
Okay.
one more of those, and that is Exhibit 17. And I'm going to ask again, Ms. Iglesias, do you recognize the person in this picture? And maybe to try to move it along, is it Amber Heard?
Of course it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does this
Okay.
reflect what you saw as well on December 16, 2015?
I mean, that's three pictures with very different light, but yes.
Now, do you also recall there being an injury to Amber Heard's lip?
Correct.
And Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to take a look at exhibit number 19, and do you recognize the person in this photograph as Amber Heard?
Yes.
And does this picture accurately reflect what you saw on Amber Heard on December 16, 2015?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Iglesias, could you please describe what you did by way of makeup to prepare Amber Heard for the James Corden show on December 16, 2015?
Okay.
Yes.
Sure, here we go.
You know, I just did makeup, but just a little heavier way knitted. So we covered, you know, the discoloration, the
Right.
bruises with a little slightly heavier concealer. One that has a little more of a peach undertone, which I would normally don't use on Amber, but peach do cancel blue. So I did that under the eyes, and although Amber always, you know, has a red lip, is one of her signature look, I remember clearly talking that we had no other option that night but then to use a red blood, like a really red lipstick to, you know, make sure we could cover up the injuries on the lip.
That would make sense.
And were you able to cover all of the injuries with the makeup that you applied and as you just described?
Yes.
Ms. Iglesias, if you could look at what has been marked as exhibit number 22,
Okay.
do you recognize Amber Heard in that picture?
Yes.
Okay. And is this the picture of her, is this a picture of her that evening, December 16, 2015 on the James Corden show?
Right.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe on the difference in Amber Heard's demeanor before the show and then on the show?
That she had the ability to, you know, turn it on, that she, you know, the ability to do her job and perform how she was
Yeah,
supposed
sure.
to perform on the show.
That makes sense.
And
Of course.
prior to Amber going on the show and while you were working with her on her makeup, how would you describe Amber's mood and demeanor?
Angry, sad, a little erratic. I think through waves of emotions, you know.
Do you recall someone named Ms. McMillan having any role in helping to prepare Amber Heard for that James Corden show that night, December 16?
Yes.
What do you recall?
Samantha was a stylist. Samantha was there the day of the James Corden show, as she was always there to get her ready before an appearance or show.
Right.
And did Samantha work on Amber before or after you were applying the makeup?
I don't know if she worked on Amber, but when I entered the Penthouse 5, Samantha was there with Amber. So Samantha was there before I entered the penthouse.
And do you recall whether Samantha was hugging Amber when you came in?
I recall opening the penthouse. So there's two penthouses. There's the penthouse where she gets ready. So Amber at the penthouse where Samantha gets her ready, where all Amber's clothes is. If I recall properly, that's the penthouse that I enter first, just to say hi before I would go set up in the other penthouse. And my recollection is to when I enter, Amber was crying, looked pretty upset on Samantha's shoulder, and they were like, you know, I don't know if hugging is the right way, but they would definitely had a moment where they were together, and Amber looked really upset.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask just a couple more questions about the makeup that you applied on Amber on December 16, 2015 for the James Corden show. I think you said that you had applied some concealer and that you had some peach undertones with it to cancel out some blue.
That's what she said.
Did I hear that correctly? I was asking about, I wrote down that you said that you had applied on Amber concealer, you had some peach undertones to cancel blue. Is that what you said? So what type of concealer did you apply to Amber? And if you use different color tones, can you please describe why you used the color tones you did?
I used a different kind of concealer that I would normally use on Amber, which I used a concealer that had peach undertone. Peach undertone concealer are more effective to cover any darkness of blue undertone than a normal concealer.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what type of makeup Amber Heard typically wore?
Objection, vague and...
Can you please describe for me?
Yes, she's pretty natural. She has a concealer from a company called, she used to have a concealer from a company called Clé de Peau.
Okay.
Her makeup would be pretty simple, concealer and a little benefit tint that she used on her lips and she used on her cheeks.
Sure.
Very natural.
It had a natural look to it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But she did wear concealer and what you described, correct?
Do you mean in her daily life or that night?
In her daily life.
Yes, she has a concealer that she uses all the time, and she has a couple of products that she uses all the time, daily, yes. Well, I mean daily, yes, as far as I know.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you feel confident in what you described?
Yeah, sure,
that you saw that day
All that
of
makes
Amber
sense.
Heard's injuries? And I'm talking about December 16, 2015.
1,000%, without a doubt.
There it is.
Because I just don't remember, you know, it's 5 years ago, I don't remember the exact date.
And could you describe Amber Heard's demeanor in those days before and after the filing for divorce and for the domestic violence?
She's probably upset.
An
That's what she's
area
gonna say.
of different emotion, you know, from, I mean, definitely from sadness to not wanting to divorce to anger to being really upset to being really sad. So it was just a roller coaster of emotion that I think we were all there those couple of days to help navigate and go through it.
I take it from your response today, you still feel very emotional about this. It's very difficult for you, isn't it?
It's not difficult for me, no, but it just reminded me at the time how I felt, yes.
When did you first tell Ms. Heard that you were no longer interested in having her as a client and being friends with her?
That phone call, about a month ago.
How was it said?
Well, I just told Amber that, I wish her well and I just have no interest in continuing a relationship, whatever it's work-wise or friendship-wise.
Why is that?
But is there a specific reason other than the birth of your child and the postpartum issues that you described, both as client and Ms. Iglesias?
Okay.
What was your impression of Mr. Depp when you first met him?
So we don't even know why she stopped dealing with her.
You thought he was lovely?
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, they cut that part out.
Was each of the, well, let me ask the backup question. Did you interact with Mr. Depp? How many times did you interact with Mr. Depp?
Through, you mean all in all?
Okay.
Oh, yes. The entirety of your interactions. How many were there? Approximately.
5, maybe less than 10.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
So she didn't
And
really
would you
know.
describe all your interactions with Mr. Depp as, quote, lovely?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp act in a violent manner?
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp yell at Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever see him kick Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp throw an object at Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp slap Ms. Heard?
No.
Punch her?
No.
Okay. All right.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp kick Ms. Heard?
No.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say, Ms. Iglesias, that you never saw Mr. Depp be physically abusive towards Ms. Heard?
Correct.
Okay.
And you never saw Mr. Depp cause any injuries to Ms. Heard, correct?
Did I ever saw him causing any injuries? No.
Right. So she doesn't really know what happened. Yeah.
And so any injuries that you claim to have seen on Ms. Heard, you don't know one way or another how they were caused, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. She's guessing.
The only source of information that you have is Ms. Heard's own words, correct?
Correct.
Who you stopped.
Did you hear Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having a fight on the phone?
I was there. I was present in the room.
But just to confirm, could you hear Mr. Depp's voice?
No.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. That would make
So
sense.
fair to say that the only voice you heard was Ms. Heard's, correct?
Right.
Correct.
And so you don't know what Mr. Depp said to Ms. Heard on that phone call, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Do you recall any other occasions where you witnessed a fight between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, or heard about an incident or a fight between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, other than the 3 that we've now discussed?
I would say every time. I would say that during my friendship with Amber, before she filed for divorce, which, I mean, timeline, I don't know, a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, she got no idea.
It was always some conflict.
Okay.
Some fight, some physical fights, some verbal fights, some kind
That's
of problem,
fair.
some kind of, it always was a problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
Problematic. It was very consuming.
This is Amber's witness.
For
It was her makeup person.
It was all consuming about that relationship. It was a very consuming friendship. And hence, that's why I decided not to continue it.
But you yourself, Ms. Iglesias, didn't witness any of these altercations, fights, arguments, correct, between Mr.
Correct.
Depp? I think you testified that you interacted with Mr. Depp less than 10 times. When you did interact with Mr. Depp, was Ms. Heard present each of those times?
All of those times.
Okay.
Did you find him particularly loving towards Ms. Heard?
No, not particularly, no.
Okay.
And during these interactions with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, at that time, you were aware that Mr. Depp allegedly was abusing Ms. Heard, correct?
Well, most of the interaction that I had was towards the end of 2015, right? I'm assuming, so I was not fully aware yet of, I guess, the seriousness of their fight, if I can say so.
Yeah, sure.
I think,
She had no idea, basically.
You know, most of the time I saw them together was towards the end of December, before December 15.
She didn't really know.
So Thanksgiving, that time, and Amber's, I think, birthday, I'm getting into the date. So the few times that I saw Mr. Depp was before I understood the seriousness of the fight.
Okay.
Understanding, again, came from Ms. Heard only, correct?
Well, Ms. Heard and some of her friends, yes.
Who were some of her friends?
Okay.
Rocky, Retro Pennington, Io, Twillett, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Josh, Drew, the people that were leaving, her sister, Whitney.
Yeah, that was Io, I'm assuming.
Those were the core group.
You said you spent Thanksgiving
No.
with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Was that in Thanksgiving, November 2015?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct, because they were divorced by May 2016, so yes.
How would you describe that evening?
Awkward,
Why?
because Marilyn Manson was there.
Did you know Marilyn Manson?
No, but this was an awkward Thanksgiving sitting there. It was quite intimate. So sitting, yeah, it was just awkward. He's just an awkward being, and it's just awkward to be around. So it was an awkward evening.
Jesus.
Do you recall Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having any type of
That's fucking good,
disagreement or fight
Wow.
that evening?
Disagreement, maybe, like a
He's shy,
disagreement.
yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I've heard he's a weirdo.
Well, I mean, there was,
Yeah.
it was such a small, intimate surrounding that you pick up on things, and so I could tell that it was awkward.
Uh-huh.
It was just awkward. I think Mr. Depp and Mr. Manson disappeared for a while, then everybody was at the table, so they was wondering where they were. It was just awkward.
Get him
And
as
you're
a
pretty
witness?
sure they
Yeah.
had a fight because Ms. Heard told you after the fact that they had a fight, correct? Because you did not witness Mr. Depp or Ms. Heard having any type of fight the evening of Thanksgiving, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Iglesias, do you have an independent recollection of going to the penthouse in downtown Los Angeles on December 15th, 2015?
I have an independent recollection
I
of
wonder if we
going to
get
the
him in here.
penthouse
That'd be great.
before one of the incident.
Okay.
And at the time, I couldn't recall if it was the day before the James Corden or the day before the fun incident. So and that is what I made sure I needed to remember, that it was the day before December 16th.
Sure.
Yes. Does that make sense? So I knew I had come a day before, a day before one of the two biggest fights.
Got it.
And I wasn't sure if it was that day or that day.
Makes
It was
sense,
December
okay.
15th.
And sitting here today, you're still not sure if you went to the penthouse on December 15th, 2015, or if it was the day before the May incident in 2016. Okay. And when you went to the penthouse on December 15th, I believe you testified before that you didn't see any injuries on Amber Heard that evening, correct?
Sorry, I don't recall seeing any injuries on Amber that day, that night.
Do you recall if Miss Pennington was at the penthouse that evening?
Yes.
Do you recall if anybody else was at the penthouse that evening?
Okay.
I don't recall.
But you do remember Miss Heard being there and Miss Pennington, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you take any photographs of Miss Heard the evening of December 15, 2016?
No.
Do you recall being present when any photographs of Miss Heard were taken on December 15, 2015?
I don't recall.
Do you remember being present when photographs of Miss Heard's injuries were taken on December 16th, 2015?
No.
And did you take any pictures of Miss Heard and her injuries on December 16th, 2015?
No.
So I don't want to take up the time of showing you all the photographs Miss Heard, or excuse me, Miss Bredehoff showed you earlier today, but
we
there were a number of exhibits. I think I marked them as
okay, here we go.
Exhibits
here
14 through 20 that you were shown earlier this morning. Just to confirm, you didn't take any of those photographs, correct?
Not on my phone, not with my phone, and I do not recall taking Amber's or Rocky's phone to take those pictures. No, definitely not with my phone.
Sure.
I do not recall taking physically myself those pictures. No, I don't recall.
Would it be normal for Miss Heard to have makeup on her face before you arrived to do her makeup ahead of an appearance?
It would be normal for Amber to have concealer on, a little of that tint there, yes, because it is quite normal for Amber to wash her face. She always likes to wash the face before the makeup with the product that she likes, do a toner.
Sure.
You know, so it wouldn't be abnormal for her to have a little makeup before and then wash her face and start clean.
But you don't remember one way or another whether Miss Heard had a fresh face with toner and moisturizer on before when you arrived on December 16th, 2015, correct?
No, I do not. I don't recall.
Would she usually wash her face and go through that process in front of you?
Yes, I mean in front of me in her bathroom, but you know we were close, so it wouldn't be abnormal for me to be chit-chatting with her while she cleaned her face. And you know, I don't think specifically in front of me or not in front of me, but yeah, I mean she would wash her face in the bathroom, which is adjacent to where we get her ready.
And I want to be really specific. So, based on your best recollection, what injuries did you see on Miss Heard on December 16th, 2015?
Amber had a slight discoloration on both eyes and on the top of the bridge of the nose. And hold on, and I do believe the right eye had a little more of a gash right there. It wasn't that strong, it wasn't that swollen, but it was definitely some blue and yellow discoloration there, mainly on the inner corner, and a little more here. And then she had on the right lip, as I said earlier, I'm not sure the exact medical term, but it looked like a split lip or like a gash here.
Did you ever see Miss Heard's lip bleed on December 15th or December 16th?
I don't recall.
But you remember that it was not bleeding on December 16th when you were applying the makeup, correct?
When I was applying the makeup, correct.
Okay, so yeah, it's like.
How about before you were applying the makeup? Do you recall it bleeding?
I don't recall.
And I think you described it as either a gash or a split lip.
How's she supposed to know?
I don't know what medical term for it. I don't know what kind of injury, but of course, I'm not a medical expert, no forensic expert, but It was slightly swollen, and by the way, you can see it in that video, so it's crazy to me, but it was slightly swollen, and there was either a gash or a scab, no, not a scab, but it was swollen with some kind of cut.
Sure. Yeah, sure, okay, that's fine.
Do you recall Miss Heard ever having a cold sore on her lips?
No.
No, okay. All right. So, yeah, she doesn't know.
You said there was slight discoloration under both eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Was there swelling under both eyes as well?
We'll clarify swelling. Maybe very little, but it was mainly discoloration too. I recall mainly discoloration, like a.
So there's no
like
swelling on the eyes?
Maybe there was a little tiny swelling on one of the eye. That was a little more.
I thought
A
the other
little
people said
more
that's what
injured than
happened.
the other.
The previous
but not
girl said
huge
that.
swelling, no.
I believe your testimony earlier today was that he lightly headbutted her. Is that correct?
I wasn't there. I don't know if he lightly or not lightly headbutted her.
It seems very specific.
That was your testimony, that it appeared as if she
Yeah.
had been, quote, lightly headbutted. Do you remember saying that earlier today?
And maybe I was misquoted. It's not my position to say how headbutted she was or anything. And maybe I'm misquoted.
Okay. And did she show you the hair that was missing?
She showed us, me and the hairdresser, the hole where the hair
Okay.
was missing on top of the head.
All right.
And was Miss McMillan there as well?
No, Samantha McNair was really never when we get ready. So it was two separate things.
It was
and
a light
Samantha never
headbutt.
really comes up when we get ready, no.
It was a
But
head
just to
tap,
confirm,
like-
these injuries, right?
That's it.
That you saw on Miss
That's
Heard
it.
on December 16th, 2015, you don't know how they were caused, correct?
Well, how could she
Correct.
know? How could she possibly know?
And so any information you
Yeah.
have about how the cause of these injuries came from Miss Heard only.
Right.
From December 16, correct.
Well, any injuries other than Miss Heard and her friends, you never witnessed Mr. Depp being violent or abusive towards Miss Heard.
The professional
causing any
headbutter's
injuries.
opinion? Yeah.
Correct.
So let's talk about the makeup that you actually used to conceal these injuries on
Okay.
her face on December 16th.
Sure.
I believe you testified you used a concealer with a peach undertone.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have training and experience dealing with injuries or covering up bruising on people? Do you have any specific experience or education?
Specific experience, I have experience in doing bruises and cover bruises for special effect. Yeah, I mean, throughout my career, I
Okay.
have created bruises, and I also have covered bruises for,
So
with
she's done
models
bruises
or
for special effects.
real life things, whatever it is. So
Okay.
yeah, I have experience in covering some bruises. Yes.
How about swelling? Same question.
I mean, it's a little harder to cover swelling. That would be maybe, try to bring the swelling down.
Like a ice.
Covering it up would be not really,
Can't do that.
would be harder.
And how about cuts?
Yeah.
Specifically as it relates to Ms. Heard's makeup look on December 16th. Do you recall what foundation you used?
The brand?
There's no way she's going to remember
You probably
that.
don't remember the brand, but
There's
do you
no
recall
way.
the shade that you used?
How would I? No, it's 5 years ago. Absolutely not.
Do you recall?
No.
But you do have a specific recollection
Yeah.
of using a peach undertone concealer.
It's true.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because Amber always had in her bag, we have the same concealer. She has a concealer from a brand called Glitter Pro. And it's a specific shade. It's beige. Beige was Amber's color for under her eyes, period. So
Okay.
the day, December 16, I didn't use beige. There's another concealer that has a little more peach in there and orange. It's called Honey, from the
Okay.
same family, and I use that instead. And I think I also I have a wheel that is a bruise wheel that has different colors, and you pick up the color to gently touch up any darkness.
Sure.
Did you make a different choice for her overall look other than the concealer as a result of the injuries that you saw on her face on December 16th?
Not a different choice, but I remember we specifically.
That's the bruise kit thing, yeah.
As I know you read it before.
Yeah.
We had a red lip. It was not uncommon for her. We know she has a signature red lip, so it's not suddenly it was, oh my gosh, she has a red lip. But I remember that day we specifically structure my makeup. There's a couple of things we do with Amber. We do a smoky eye and a nude lip or a red lip. And I remember specifically thinking of my makeup about we needed to highlight there to try to not draw attention there. And the red lips was our only option to cover that red cut that was there. So that I remember very specifically thinking that we had to have a red lip, sharp brows, and construct the makeup to take away from here. So basically, I mean, it's doesn't mean nothing to you guys, but just basically a lot of highlight up here to kind of not focus on this. I remember talking about it very clearly.
Sure. Okay.
And forgive my ignorance, but what did you do to cover up the cut on the lip other than apply a red lip?
A red lip. A red lip.
Is that it?
It is swollen. I can see it in the video on the James Corden show. So her lips was swollen. It was big on that side. You can see it. There's nothing I can do about that. But we did a really dark red lip to match that red gash or cut, whatever that was there.
Do you recall Miss Heard being hindered as a result of the injury on her lip? And when I say hindered, I mean, did she have trouble opening her mouth widely, or, you know, did she complain about it hurting or splitting open and bleeding? Do you recall any of that?
I don't recall.
And again, just to confirm, on December 15th, 2015, you don't recall seeing any injuries, including a split lip on Amber Heard, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall having any specific conversation with the hairstylist that was doing Miss Heard's hair on December 16th, 2015, as it related to the abuse that Miss Heard was describing for you?
Yeah, yes. We talked a bit about it, yes.
And what do you recall about that conversation?
I mean, you know, I think everybody was a little like, oh shit, okay. I think everybody was a little surprised. Everybody was a little like not knowing how to move forward with it. I mean, but we talked, as I said, when Amber was in the chair and Adele was behind her and I was in front of her, I recall the three of us having this conversation, and I recall Adele showing me the hole there.
But just to confirm, you don't know how that chunk of hair was missing from Miss Heard's head. You don't know what caused that chunk of hair to be missing, correct?
I don't know it, correct.
You don't have any personal knowledge, I should say, as to how that chunk of hair came to be missing from her head.
Well, I did not witness it, correct.
Alex, may I please have you bring up Dep 9? Ms. Iglesias, you've testified previously that you see, watching the video clip, right, you see Ms. Heard's, you see the swollen lip and you see bruising.
Yeah. I've known that face. I know that face so well. I've done it so many times. I can tell where the bruises are, and I can tell where the swollen lip is, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Amber
Ms.
released from
Iglesias,
Aquaman
do you
2
mind
contract?
please identifying for me, is this,
I'll find it.
does this photograph accurately depict Ms. Heard on the James Corden show on December 16th, 2015?
Yes.
But can you describe for me where you see bruising on Ms. Heard's face?
Well, I didn't say I saw bruise, but I saw the discoloration.
I don't see it anywhere.
My makeup,
Tag
so
me
I
in
see
it.
the discoloration
Yeah,
on the
tag
right
me in it.
eye,
I don't see
just
it.
right under. I see that little dent there. And also, I mean, this is a picture that is you know, taking, this is not a really accurate picture. She's sideways, the light is one way, you know, but yes, there's better pictures that you can see. But if you give me the mouth, I will show you, but there's other still picture when you can see the split lip better.
Okay.
Or the swollen lip. So, I mean, I can see there's better pictures where you can see that side of her lip is swollen. This here.
And when you're pointing, just for the record, you're
It's
pointing to
clickbait?
the right side of Miss Heard's lip.
Of course
correct?
it is.
Correct. It's here.
There's no
But
okay,
as I
it's
said, there's
just
better
bullshit.
pictures. She's sideways.
Okay.
There's better pictures where you can see what I feel you can see better. But
It might be the same photograph.
yeah, she's still sideways.
But Miss Iglesias, this is your testimony that you believe you can see swelling on the right side of Miss Heard's lip.
It would
Yes.
seem that way.
Okay. Do you see any bruising or concealed bruising
It would seem that
under
way.
her
Yeah.
eyes?
Well, I mean, I know I've concealed those bruises, so yeah, so I can see them because I know I did it, but so that's neither here or there, but yeah, I mean, I can see them just on the eyes, on the right eyes, I can see the little gash right there.
Uh-huh.
And I can, all that darkness, right, I mean, I don't have the mask anymore, but all that darkness right there, that is not eyeshadow. And that is neither dark circle for not sleeping. This is part of the little, you know, the injury is showing through.
Okay.
Do you see any discoloration or bruising on the bridge of her nose?
I do not, no, I must have done a great job there.
Do you recall anything about Miss Heard's appearance when you first encountered her in Coachella Valley?
No, I don't recall.
Okay.
Did you notice any injuries on Miss Heard?
Okay.
I don't recall.
Do you recall Miss Heard discussing any abuse that she had sustained the night of her birthday on April 21st, 2016 by Mr. Depp?
Yes.
What do you recall about that?
I recall there
Right.
was a fight, there was
Okay. I feel like all this has already been defined.
I don't exactly recall the fight.
Like, we already
I
know
there was a
this.
fight and there was some problem. That's why
Yeah.
they were late coming back to Coachella's.
Yeah, we know all of this stuff.
I don't recall exactly what she told me, but there was some problem the night before, yes.
Yeah, this has had no.
But
new
you don't
information.
remember seeing any injuries on Miss Heard after her birthday dinner in April of 2016,
Uh-huh.
correct?
Correct.
Do you recall seeing any injuries on Miss Heard's face at that dinner on May 24th, 2016?
Consistency? Yeah.
I don't recall.
Do you recall Miss Heard's general demeanor at the dinner on May 24th, 2016?
Trying to get conflicting statement. Yeah.
What I
maybe that's
remember
it.
about that dinner is that she was, and I'll tell you why I remember this clearly, because she was very distraught and she was very confused if she should file or not for divorce. And she
Uh-huh.
was really sad and upset and angry and all of it. And I remember that because that night I actually physically took her phone. So she should not,
Okay.
so that if Johnny tried to reach out to her again, she wouldn't have a phone that night and she would go through the divorce tomorrow, the next day. So I remember physically having her phone.
Okay.
And when I dropped them back at the penthouse, she said, "Keep
She's
my
biased.
phone.
No, she's biased.
So if
Like,
you
definitely.
contact me, I won't
Yeah.
know, I won't cave, and I will file for divorce tomorrow." So I went home in my house with her phone,
Okay.
and that's why I remember. That's why it's sticking in my mind. And then the next morning, and you can see
Sure.
those texts, she said, "I need my phone." And then I had to drive to the penthouse and give her her phone back. And at the time, that day, I'm assuming she filed for divorce, and that day the whole circus started.
And you believe that Miss Heard should go through with the divorce, correct?
Correct.
Of course you would think
And
that.
and that was based on
Yeah.
what exactly, Ms.
Duh.
Iglesias?
On what she told me on her recollection of her marriage.
I think you testified earlier that Amber's practice was to wear concealer, some foundation, moisturizer, things of that nature. Was there do you have any recollection that Amber strayed from that and did not wear makeup during the week of May 21st, 2016?
No.
Do you have any recollection that week of thinking, oh my goodness, Amber Heard isn't wearing her makeup this week?
No.
So do you know whether Amber Heard took any steps to reduce her swelling during this?
Well, I don't think she would even
in
know
preparation
this.
for the James
How would she
Corden,
even know that?
Show.
Yeah.
Yes, she took arnica.
Oh.
And we had an arnica gel.
Okay.
And I always have arnica gel in my kit
she put
anyway.
a gel on.
And she had arnica gel. She used arnica gel.
Okay.
And some ice.
And what does arnica gel do with respect to swelling?
I use arnica gel in my kit to bring any swelling area of my client's face down.
Makes sense.
And how does that typically work? What's your experience?
It just brings the swelling down. I mean, not drastically, but
Okay.
it helps with the swelling a little bit.
All right, there it is.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor, we have another video.
Okay, if you could approach for a
Okay,
moment.
let's see it.
Certainly.
Let's see it. All right. So let's talk about this while they're fighting. So this is generally what I think, right? It's like just overall, I don't really like. I feel like it's obvious. I guess to me, like it's weird, right? That I think this is the only thing that really struck me as weird. Is that the lady there said that Amber Heard, it looked like she got headbutted. How many people have you seen that got headbutted lightly? Do you see what I'm saying? And like with the with that show that she was on, I feel like the only thing that was really damning was the nose. Like, yeah, you can put makeup over a bruise. I mean, of course you can do that. You can put makeup over somebody's lips. Of course you can. It's the fucking nose. It's like the nose was broken. That's what really was different. And they had a bunch of other pictures. Yeah, it's very specific. Exactly. Amber lied to everyone, even their friends. Well, here's the thing, right? Is like, so this lady, she every interaction she had with Johnny Depp was positive. Everything was totally fine. She heard one side of an argument, and that was about it. So, like, she doesn't really know anything. Like, she's not a bad person because she's giving her side of the story, because she was only given one side of the story to begin with. It's not, she's just repeating what she was told. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's not bad or anything like that. Just, yeah, she's just repeating what she was told. And also, like, why would she have reason to doubt somebody like this? I mean, she had worked with her for years. This is what she's heard. I'm sure there's probably some dissonance. Oh, Johnny seems fine, but then this happens in the back. I don't really know. It seems very hard to be certain about one way or another. I think that's the way I see it. And 7 witnesses, $7 million. That's not how it works. I really don't think so. None of this can refute what Johnny already admitted. He accidentally hit her with his head. Yeah, like, and that's what I was about to get to, right? Is that Johnny Depp even said in his own fucking
All right, your
interview,
next witness.
Whatever.
We're going to call Christy Sexton, and this is by video deposition as well.
He already admitted that he accidentally hit her in the head.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he already said this. You see kind of what I'm saying? It's like, it's not a surprise.
Ms. Sexton, why don't you state your whole name for the record and your
Okay.
current address?
Here we go.
Christina Lisette Sexton, Queensland, Australia.
For how long, Ms. Sexton, have you lived in Australia?
I've been at that address since July 2017.
Okay, here we go.
There was a transitionary period. I met my husband in December of 2015.
Right.
So 16 and 17 decisions on which country we were going to move to and such. So I did not establish residency here until July, and then began all my paperwork subsequently when we were married in October.
Okay, well, she sounds like she knows what the fuck's going on. All right, great.
I take it from your last answer, Ms. Sexton, that Australia was the lucky winner for which country you and your husband would choose to live in.
Yes.
It seems that
Yes,
way, yeah.
All
Indeed.
And do you currently have a job? Do you currently work right now in Australia?
Yes, I'm an acting coach.
That's nice.
When was
Okay.
it, to the best of your recollection, that she took a class that you were a TA in?
I believe it was sometime in 2009.
For how long did you remain Amber Heard's primary or exclusive acting coach?
I don't know about exclusive. We don't have any sort of exclusivity contracts. She may work with other coaches.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense.
The last time we worked on a project together
All right.
would be Aquaman, so 2017. I don't know about exclusive. We don't have any sort of exclusivity contracts. She may work with other coaches.
Okay.
The last time we worked on a project together would be Aquaman, so 2017.
All right. So she helped her with Aquaman. That makes sense. Sure.
TV series, I should say, that you recall working on as an acting coach with Amber Heard was the Playboy Club.
Yes.
And listed there 2011.
Okay.
Yes.
I take it from what you
Aquaman
just
leaked?
described
Yeah,
that
sure.
although the frequency varied, it's fair to say, is it not, that you saw Ms. Heard many, many, many times during the period between 2010 and 2017?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Would it be fair to say that you saw Ms. Heard during this 7-year period more than 100 times?
Easily, yes.
She saw her a lot. All right. That makes sense.
And when
Sure.
you say easily, do you think it's also fair to say that you saw her more than 200 times?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm going to go up another 100. Same
Got
answer
it.
for 300 times?
Yeah.
Let's get that to
As I
reference
said, when I
Aquaman
would
concept.
see her,
Yeah.
it would be multiple times a week in preparation for a project.
When's the last time that you had a session with Amber Heard as her primary acting coach?
Mid-2017?
During that early period when she lived on Orange Avenue, how would you describe, Amber Heard as an actor?
She was really focused on moving to the next level of her career and really stretching herself as an actor.
Seems that way.
Which is why she started coaching so much at that time and initially even went to classes. So she was really driven to do a lot of work and kind of mine out everything that we could from the text and go over things a lot. So she was very driven as an actor to, I would say, get to the next phase of her career.
That's fine.
We're looking at Sexton 1. Refresh your recollection as to when that took place. That's the IMDb page.
Yes, it was either 2011 or 2012. If it's saying that it came out in 2011, then the premiere would have been in 2011. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
When was the next time you recall seeing Johnny or Mr. Depp?
I would say sometime in the middle of the following year.
So sometime in the middle of 2012, you think?
Yeah.
And where was that?
At her house on Orange. I remember seeing him quite a bit. In the early period.
Again, I'm focused on the early period. Did you have occasion to run into Mr. Depp at your coaching sessions with Amber later when she moved into Sweetser Avenue and then at the penthouse in downtown Los Angeles?
Yes, I did see him often at both Sweetser and the downtown house.
Okay.
And over that period of time, did you observe changes in Mr. Depp's behavior?
Yeah, Johnny became,
here we go.
I would say, much darker as time went on. He was, like, figuratively and literally, he would sit in dark rooms.
I like this.
The art overall changed. Like, everything got much darker in the houses with, like, heavy... it was always a little... I don't know what the art form would be. Dark, but it just, like, literally lighting would go down and big curtains would be everywhere, and he became much less talkative as time went on.
I bet.
I would see less and less of him personally. I would hear him in the house, but I would see less and less of him interaction-wise. And when I did
Makes a lot of sense.
What would you hear him say on those occasions when you could
He's
hear
not
him?
happy at all.
At different points in time, I heard different things. Sometimes it would just be him milling around the house. Sometimes it would be him having conversations with his team, bodyguards and stuff, or his friends that were over making music at the Sweetser location. Sometimes it was him and Amber fighting. Like, I was in his home, so I heard him quite a bit.
You said a couple of answers ago that from time to time you would hear Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard fighting.
Okay.
Can you, again, keeping in mind that it's a long time ago, can you describe
what was happening?
I would say I would just hear a lot of him yelling. His voice would carry through kind of the halls of the house.
Okay.
And then, like, I remember one time in specific that I could hear Amber was trying to get out of the room, and then the door shut again, and then I could just hear muffled yelling on his part.
At the beginning of their relationship, once Ms. Heard has revealed to you that they were in fact in a relationship, did she talk to you about Mr. Depp's struggles with drugs and alcohol?
In the early parts of their relationship, she had said that he was sober. She was trying to support him in his sobriety. And then subsequently throughout the relationship, we would talk about his breaks in sobriety.
Based on your work as Ms. Heard's acting coach, primary acting coach, was it your understanding that Mr. Depp had opinions about what role Ms. Heard should take?
There were a couple of occasions where I actually heard Johnny say, why would you want to do that kind of role? My woman isn't going to play that kind of role. Stuff like that I heard a few times from him over the course of time.
Other than saying that he didn't, hearing Mr. Depp say he didn't want his woman playing a whore, did you ever hear him use any other language like that?
Okay.
About the kind of roles that Ms. Heard was being offered? To focus you in, Ms. Sexton, I'm talking about the period when Amber and Johnny were together in a relationship until you stopped being her acting coach in 2017. And I'm focusing in on what you recall hearing from Mr. Depp about what roles he thought Ms. Heard should play.
As I said, he would be sitting. Initially, when she lived in the Orange location, sometimes he would be nearby. It was a fairly small house, and he would be nearby and earshot. So there were times that he was kind of just disparaging. That's a shitty role. Why would you do that? That kind of thing. But he wasn't
personal
super
attacks.
Negative then.
Make fun of somebody's appearance, you're permabanned.
As it
it's
went
that
on,
simple.
he was very vocal about the negative terms. Like I said, he called it a whore part or a trash part, or a piece of shit.
That bullshit.
All sorts of things like that. Generally pretty negative.
You're
it was
just getting
something he didn't want her to do.
Like, I would never think of you again.
Number of roles that Ms. Heard auditioned for change during the time that she was involved.
We don't do that here.
Yes, it did. It was decreasing as it went, and there would be stretches of time where she wasn't auditioning at all or working on anything at all.
During the time that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were together, did you observe changes in their relationship over time?
Yeah, early on they were incredibly lovey-dovey and passionate and always together in a positive way. They were very playful and friendly. And then I would see less and less of them together, and I would hear a lot of muffled arguments through the walls. And when I did see him, sometimes the balance would shift. It went from being like a normal couple to very tension-filled, especially those last few months that they were together.
I would assume so.
And
yeah.
Did they? Was withdrawn. The number of times that Ms. Heard was late for or canceled sessions with you change as her relationship with Mr. Depp went on in time?
Yeah, as I said earlier, Amber was never late when we worked at the studio. And then as it went on, I began having to actually build in a cushion of an hour around her appointment. It started out just an extra 15 minutes here and there because she'd be late coming downstairs, or they'd be discussing, or he had to talk to her at that moment in time. And eventually, as the relationship progressed and the fighting got heavier, I would have to build in time because she'd be sobbing at the beginning of sessions, and we couldn't work until we got her together.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I ended up having to do a lot of cushion time around her just so that we could actually get something accomplished, because she was often very upset.
Did you have occasion to observe
Amber Heard's witness? Yeah, she's Amber Heard's witness.
Actually, not acting.
Yeah, she is.
When you had coaching sessions with her during the time that she was together romantically with Mr. Depp?
I would say the last year they were together, probably 80-90% of our sessions began with her crying.
Jesus.
That would be increasing as it went on. Ironically, she has a little difficulty crying, acting-wise. So,
we can
which
tell.
a lot of us do. And so, yeah, we would have to work when we were doing it acting-wise. But it was a lot towards the end there. A lot of crying sessions.
Based on your testimony here, Ms. Sexton, is the crying that she did in a role different than the crying you observed so often in the last year of her relationship with Mr. Depp?
Yes, inherently acting, crying is very different.
That is an
somebody
interesting
is working in what's called method, in which that's an entirely different thing where they focus on their own stuff. So she's not a method actor, so it would be completely different.
Speaking for your own self, Ms. Sexton, how did you react when you saw Amber at these sessions crying the way you described it?
I have a caretaker personality, so I would prioritize taking care of the person in front of me over doing work. Which is why I ended up building in all that extra time, because I cared about her as a human, and I wanted to be there for her in as much as I could as a friend. So there's no point on working on something if someone isn't fully there or they're upset. It's more important to deal with the person and take care of them than work.
Okay. Sure.
And during those sessions, particularly in the last year when you saw Ms. Heard crying so often, what was your understanding of the reason for her tears?
I would hear them fighting and then hear her come in, and she would be a wreck after she came in. I couldn't make out what they were saying, and I personally wasn't trying to listen to their fights, so I would just hear the sounds of the screaming. And her usually, you could tell she would open the door and try to get him to be quiet, and then it'd go back to him yelling. And, so that would directly occur before she would come down and be upset and trying to pull herself together.
What do you recall seeing her today? She told you that they were fighting.
I was witness to some of those. He didn't want her going out without any sort of security or any team. He didn't want her going and doing things just on her own.
You described earlier in your testimony, Ms. Sexton, what Amber Heard was like when you first met her. During this period when she was involved with Mr. Depp, and particularly toward the end of their relationship, did her behavior change?
Over the course of time, she became more and more of a hermit. Only leaving the house when she had to. Again, as I said earlier, literally the houses became darker with the curtains drawn all the time.
Yep. That's about right.
I remember one time in particular when she was living at the Eastern Columbia.
gamer time. That's right.
We went downstairs to get a slice of pizza. I think there were 4 of us. And Amber gave a homeless kid down there some money, and we helped him get to the bus stop, and we came back up, and Johnny yelled at her about going out, and that she knew better than to be going out at night and that kind of thing. And when we tried to kind of be like, it's fine, we got pizza downstairs at the building across the street, then he just started screaming and getting really angry, so I made my way out.
I would leave
What
them
about her
too.
weight? Did you notice any changes during that period in her weight? Just to be clear, Ms. X, I'm asking about the time that she was involved with Mr. Depp.
So Amber is one of those people that loses weight when she's stressed out.
Most people do.
So she would drop weight and look skeletal at certain points in time. I remember right before their wedding, she had lost a significant amount of weight to the point that I was asking her if she was eating regularly. So she's always been fit, but she would drop down and get a little gaunt if she was super stressed out.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
And in that last year that she was involved with Mr. Depp, do you know changes in her weight?
Yeah, she lost a significant amount of weight, and I noticed it specifically because I had been in Australia doing a film, and then when I came back, so I'd been in Australia since December, I came back in February, and she looked, she was skin and bones. Like she was much thinner than she normally was at that point. So I know during that time period that she had lost a lot of weight and she was very gaunt.
Now, I'm going to shortly move on to specific incidents, but for now, Ms. Beckman, I want to speak just generally about things you observed and saw.
Mr. Drugs, yeah, of course.
And the first question I have in that regard is, during the time that you were Amber Heard's acting coach and she was involved with Mr. Depp, did you observe injuries on Ms. Heard?
When she came back from Australia, there were a lot of like little red marks on her arms that looked like freshly healing things.
Okay.
Skin, like red marks on her skin, sorry, on her arms that I saw.
All right.
And then subsequently I would see like bruises that look like arms being grabbed or wrists.
Yeah.
Then I saw that all towards the end.
Did there come a time when you accompanied Amber Heard and Johnny Depp to Hicksville, California?
Yes, I went to Hicksville for Johnny's birthday celebration.
Not necessarily this, but yeah.
And in your own words, can you tell me about that trip and what happened chronologically?
We arrived at Hicksville and we had made kind of like a barbecue and drinks as we were having a lovely time. Johnny was playing guitar and singing, and then as the night went on, like around sundown, they started passing around a bag of mushrooms and a bag of white powder. I didn't even partake in the alcohol because I had had surgery a few months before, so I was the only one stone cold sober.
It was flour.
Then I went to bed early, and while my friend and I were in our trailer, and we heard the fighting happening, Johnny screaming, and a commotion. We didn't come out of our trailer, and then the quieting down, and everyone being like, "Oh, it's okay." The bodyguards, I heard them running over there, and then the next morning when we got up, the group was talking about what had happened that night.
Okay.
And then I kind of left that conversation and went to the trailer to check on Amber, and I saw the completely torn apart trailer. Johnny was apologizing for what he had done, and he was instructing his bodyguards to just pay it off. Let's just take care of it.
Right.
And I stayed with Amber. She was really shaken up.
The next day,
No one else has seen the fighting? No.
can you describe for me what
Nobody's
the
seen it.
trailer
Except for her
where
sister.
Amber and Johnny were staying looked like?
The inside was in shambles. I remember seeing a light hanging off the wall.
Yeah.
There was broken stuff everywhere. Dishes, it looked like, or not dishes, like the wood was broken. Things were hanging off the wall. It was in shambles on the inside.
And that next day, I think you said that you had occasion to see Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did he look that next day when you saw the
Let's
trailer?
see.
He looked very worried. He was apologizing. He was saying he would take care of it. He was he was like, don't worry about it, babe. We're going to get this taken care of. And Amber was really like closed off and quiet, and he just kept kind of apologizing to her over and over again, and then telling his bodyguards to just take care of it, just get it done, whatever it is, just pay
Just
for
get
it.
it out of there. Just get it out of there.
And then he went off to go have that conversation with them.
What was Mr. Depp saying that next day when he was apologizing?
I just remember him saying, I'm so sorry, babe, I'll take care of it. I know this is bad, but I can take care of it. I'm sorry I did this, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I think you said, testified in the survey, but I want to make sure the record is clear. Did you recall Mr. Depp using the word monster that day?
I heard him on different times making apologies that he said, I'm sorry I turned into a monster. I just remember a profuse amount of apologies. I don't know if that time in particular had that verbiage.
Okay.
Anything else about Hicksville that you remember that you haven't told me about?
I mean,
So there we
the
go.
only thing I stated that I did see him eat the mushrooms.
Okay.
I saw him holding the white bag. I don't know what he
Yeah.
did with that, the bag of white powder.
What could that be?
Everyone except for
Either
me was drinking.
flour
and
or
different people
sugar.
were partaking in different drugs at that time. So it didn't keep track of that.
Salt. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it could be salt too.
Yeah, I don't know anything else that I can recall.
It seems that way, yeah. How could she know?
Okay. I want to go forward to another incident.
Corn, potato starch?
and that,
Yeah, it could be that too. Corn starch.
Is the day of
Yep.
April 21, 2016, which I'll represent to you, was Amber Heard's 70th birthday. Did you have occasion to see Amber Heard that day?
Yes, I attended the party.
And again, you say you attended the party. Can you describe the party you attended, who was there?
The party was happening in one of the penthouses, the one that they didn't live in. It's where they did most of their art, and we did most of our coaching. And I don't remember the number of that one. And there were several friends of Amber's there, and we spent the first couple hours waiting for Johnny. And then eventually Amber said, just let's not stop waiting for him, let's just start. So we went out to the balcony to start dinner, and that's when Johnny finally came down, and he was severely inebriated when he came down.
That's whenever he was doing drugs. Yeah, we heard about this.
And they,
Yep.
Brandon, I don't remember his last name, it starts with an M, escorted him, kind of helped him stay stable. And we went to the table and we started dinner, and Johnny and I was sitting 2 seats away from Johnny. Johnny and Amber clearly were very tense and had been, I don't know what they had been doing, but they were very tense, and he would try to kind of touch her and she would shy away. And then Rocky was trying to change the tone of the party because it had really gotten very somber at that point. And she asked everyone to kind of say their favorite story about Amber. And as we went around the table, everyone shared their stories. And when we got to Johnny, he started talking about that he remembered when he first met her, the imprint of Amber's ass on his couch were his words, and it just all kind of took a turn from there. She was clearly embarrassed. She asked him to stop, and he kept telling the story, and
I bet
it got really awkward and uncomfortable at that point, and never really recovered any sort of jovial energy. We ate, and then I left shortly thereafter.
And to finish your question about Hicksville, the day after, when you saw Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in the wrecked trailer, did Ms. Heard seem embarrassed?
Yeah, as I said, Amber was very closed off. She was very quiet. She had said, "Don't come in. I don't want you to see this." So, yeah, she seemed very embarrassed. Now,
switching forward to Amber's 30th birthday party, I think you testified that Mr. Depp seemed inebriated when he arrived. What's your basis for saying that?
He was slurring his words and wobbly on his feet. He ran into a couple things, which is when Brandon came over and kind of locked arms with him to kind of help him stand up.
Yeah, he's fucking drunk. It makes
you
sense.
You saw her later with the healing
Oh my
bruise.
God.
Where do you recall seeing that healing bruise?
Oh
On
my
her cheek.
God.
It was on her right cheek.
We know.
I think it was right. Yeah.
Do you know how long after the incident that you just discussed?
Oh my God.
You saw Ms. Heard in her face.
Yes.
It was a few days
Captain
later,
Jack
but
Sparrow was
I
method
couldn't tell
acting.
you
We
exactly
get it.
when. I mean,
We know
everyone
this.
heals a different way, right? I could still see kind of the yellow and stuff in there. So.
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to Amber?
I don't understand how this is. Like, this has nothing to do with anything that he's done.
When was the last time you spoke to her specifically? Can you remember?
We went over to have, I went over, it was sometime in August, I can narrow it down to August, to have wine, have a glass of wine and catch up, because like I said, I think it had been 2 years since we had physically seen each other.
Both times when you met with Ms. Heard in August of this year, did you meet with her at her house?
Yes.
Did Ms. Heard mention any of the allegations that Mr. Depp is making against her in relation to this case when you met with her?
Only to say, to talk to the attorneys about it.
When you say only to say to talk to the attorneys about it, specifically did
What does this mean? Yeah.
Like she said, would you be willing to sit down and talk to my attorneys about everything that you witnessed? And then afterwards, after I kind of talked about it all, it felt really intense to me and I felt incredibly guilty.
Was it during one of these 2 times that you met with
I got a lot to say here. Like, I got a lot to say. God damn.
For the first time that
Like,
Mr.
I'm
Depp
ready.
had
I'm ready to pop off.
allegedly
Let's
raped
go.
her with a bottle in Australia?
Let's see it.
Yeah, she did talk about the bottle then, yeah.
Was it the first meeting that
I'm
you
ready.
had
I'm
with
ready.
Ms. Heard in
I'm ready.
August
Just let me
this
go.
year that she mentioned that?
Let me go.
It was after, like, I had come to see her and had a wine night and catch up, and then after I had talked to the attorneys, after we had a good cry,
Okay.
we were talking more about what had happened, and she was saying how she didn't even tell me everything, and
Right.
yeah, that's when it came out.
Makes sense, sure.
And
We
just
were
to
having a
confirm,
good cry.
Ms. Sexton, Ms. Heard told you about the bottle incident in Australia where she claims Mr. Depp penetrated her with it before your deposition, your first deposition in this case in August of 2019?
Yes. It was after I had talked to the attorneys.
After you had spoken to the attorneys informally, correct, at her house?
Yeah.
But it was before you were formally deposed in this case.
I got a lot to talk about
I
after
believe
this.
it was August 30th, 2019.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm about to do this.
And just to confirm,
We about to
make
go
this
in on
record
this.
Really clear. This was the first time Ms. Heard had told you that Mr. Depp had allegedly penetrated her with a bottle
in Australia, correct?
Yeah, she had told me about the assaults with the bottle, being hit with the bottle and the broken glass and everything.
Sure.
And then she had told me about all that many times before. And then this time she started crying and sobbing and started telling me about the assault.
Right.
The penetrative assault.
And when Ms. Heard told you about this alleged rape that occurred, did she know that you were going to be deposed by her attorney?
No, because they were all in the other room. And they didn't even tell me that they were like, we may have you for a deposition. And that's when I had said to them, if you're going to do that, I would appreciate it if you did it before I left the States.
Makes sense, sure.
And they said, we may or may not need you. And it was a couple days later that they then sent me the contact and said, we are going to subpoena you.
Since you've known Ms. Heard, can you tell me how many times you've
Let me
spent
pop off, please. Let me
maybe a
pop off.
significant amount of time with Mr. Depp?
I would say probably around like 10 or 20 times.
And of those 10 or 20 times that you saw Mr. Depp and spent maybe more significant time than him just passing through a room, how many times would you say he was or appeared to be sober?
Not many. If he was coming down to have a conversation, he was pouring a glass of whiskey or rolling a joint or having wine. It always seemed to me that he's not a social animal, if you will, and he would have a drink or a smoke in order
that's
to
what he does.
go talk to people.
Sure.
Is what it felt like. So most of the time I saw him, it was that.
You would agree with me, though, Ms. Sexton, that someone getting a drink is different than someone appearing drunk, correct? For example,
Yeah, that's different. Okay.
Of the day. So my question is a little bit more specific. Of the 10 or 20 times that you saw Mr. Depp, how many times did he appear inebriated? Not, holding a glass of whiskey or smoking a joint, but how many times did he appear inebriated to you?
I would say at least half, if not more.
How would you describe Mr. Depp's personality when he was or appeared sober versus when he appeared inebriated?
He was very quiet when he was sober, and before he would start drinking, he was very quiet. Almost a whisper, mumble most of the time. And then he would get very loud when he was inebriated, and he would go to like boisterous first and telling like cool stories and stuff, that kind of happy drunk, and then it would move into the loud, angry drunk.
When you say loud and angry drunk, did you witness Mr. Depp be angry when he was drunk?
A couple of times, yeah.
Okay.
When was the first time you witnessed Mr. Depp appear to be angry and inebriated?
I couldn't tell you the first time per se. I have images in my head. I remember him like yelling and screaming, and the bodyguard coming over and being like, "Hey, boss, let's take this to another room."
Yeah.
Can you tell me as much as you can remember of that incident?
I remember being in the kitchen of that house.
He's yelling. Okay.
And he came down and he was yelling about something. Amber and I were having a conversation.
Oh my God.
We were going to. We were going to work on something that day. It was later in the evening, where it was really dark in there. Like I said, sometimes they drew all the curtains.
Yeah.
In my memory, it's very dark. And he was yelling, and that older guy came and like scooped his arm around him.
That's the guy that died, so we can't
all right,
get
boss,
that.
Let's take this to another place. Because he was inebriated. I could tell from the way he was talking, and he was just kind of yelling. And I don't recall what was happening. It all kind of happened very quickly. I don't recall what he was yelling about, or if it was even at anybody. He was just kind of down there and drunk, and we scooped him up.
You anticipated my questions, which were who was he yelling at and what was he yelling about. So you don't recall, is that correct?
No, I don't.
And you said the other instance that you remember of Mr. Depp appearing inebriated and being angry was at one of his penthouses in downtown LA, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What were the circumstances that you remember about that incident?
I remember one time he was mad that people were in the house because I had just gotten there.
Okay.
I don't even remember. There might have been like 2 people there or something. I don't remember. But yeah, he was storming up those stairs to his office bedroom area.
Okay.
Got it. And then Amber and I went to the other penthouse to work.
Again, he was mad.
Both at Sweetser and at the penthouse. When you saw Mr. Depp and he appeared inebriated and was angry and yelling, did you see him hit Ms. Heard at any point?
No, I did not see him hit her.
Okay, wow, it's a rerun.
Did you see him kick Ms. Heard?
I did not see him kick her.
Yep, there we go.
Did you see him throw something at Ms. Heard?
All right.
I saw him coming at her, and that's when the bodyguard stepped in, like coming towards her.
Okay.
But I did not, like, so throwing himself at, like, but I was not witness to him throwing objects at her.
So no.
When you say he was coming at her, are you describing the incident at Sweetser or at the penthouse?
Sweetser, he came in through that hallway and we were sitting at, it was kind of like an island there, like right in front of the fridge, and I was in front of the fridge, and he came in from there, was like coming at her, and then the bodyguard, like came in and scooped him up.
Got it.
This is the incident. You don't remember what Mr. Depp was yelling about or
Yeah.
what?
Yes.
But it appeared to you that Mr. Depp was coming at Ms. Heard.
Yeah.
Correct?
She was shaking and upset.
Okay. Sure.
It felt like something that had been going on for a while.
And all the time that you've known Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp, did you ever see Mr. Depp be violent towards Ms. Heard?
I never saw him hit her. I heard him use terminology, as I said before, and as I said, come at her, but I never saw him hit her.
Okay.
I would have called the cops, to be honest.
You never saw Mr. Depp throw anything at her, any objects at her, correct?
No, the only thing I saw was the aftermath. Like, I would see things broken afterwards. And like I said, in Hicksville, I heard the yelling and then saw the breaking and saw him apologizing for it. But I, with my own 2 eyes, did not see him physically break the stuff or throw the stuff.
Okay.
When Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went to Australia, did she tell you that she threw a bottle of vodka at him and that's what severed his finger?
No, she had told me that he had broken the bottle and cut himself with the bottle that he had broken.
When she told you that he had cut himself with the bottle he had broken, did she say that he had taken the bottle and cut off his finger? Or that it was an accident and that his finger was severed from the broken bottle? Do you understand the distinction?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
She didn't say that he... She didn't indicate that he cut off, like went purposely to cut it.
Okay.
What it seemed to me is that he had broken the bottle against something and then
at the same time.
He was doing things with the bottle, like shaking it around, and that he had cut himself from that. It didn't indicate that he had in any way purposely cut himself.
Dude, I mean...
Do you recall Johnny ever saying something to you in a conversation with him later about his ability to pass insurance tests?
I remember a specific time when Amber still lived at Orange, and Amber was out with her girlfriends, and I had come over too early for the party, so it was just Johnny and I sitting there having some whiskey, and he was smoking cigars, and he was talking about that it was... I said something about, he said he had to get up early to do a test, and I was like, oh, don't you have any sort of, like, concern about that? And he's like, it's easy to fake insurance tests. That's why we do what we do. I was talking to him because another client of mine had to do an insurance test, and he was like, oh, you can fake a piss test, you can do this.
I bet he knows about that.
And he just kind of went over a few different ways that it's easy to fake insurance tests and made a joke of it.
That's fair.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the day today, so have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Again, do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay?
All righty, let's get to work. Let's get to work. So, number one, this is the big one. The acting coach says Amber Heard can't cry on command. And then she says, we had to cry together about things. Isn't that something? Wow. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, so what would that indicate if she's not really crying that well? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Was that a fake cry and a real cry are different? Exactly. That's what I was saying. Bad actor confirmed. That's where I'm at. Totally different, man. You're being dumb, right? Don't get it? Just because she can't cry on command doesn't mean she can't cry in general? Exactly. Which means that I think that the emotions that she was eliciting while she was on the stand were acted because she wasn't crying. I also think that they were acted and not authentic because nobody has been able to corroborate any of the evidence or any of the things that people have said. There is no medical record of this. There's nothing. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that she was crying privately and she wasn't crying on the stand. And then the acting coach said she had trouble crying on command. So what would that indicate? It was a poorly acted performance. Do you see where I'm coming from here? Amber said Johnny cut his finger with a phone, and now they said bottle. Well, yeah. Here's the thing: is I feel like it's very obvious that it's like Johnny had like multiple medical records of this stuff happening. I know there are some people who are thinking, oh wow, well Johnny did X or Y thing. I think that the truth is Johnny is basically a degenerate drug addict. Right? This is what he does. He's done this for years. And in my opinion, that's probably the way he likes it. He likes being a degenerate. He likes being a drug addict. It's great. This is what he's done his whole fucking life. All of his friends do it. Everybody around him does it. It is what it is, right? This is the way he lives his life. So I think the problem really is Amber might not have been okay with that. He's trying to get some wife that's just going to be okay with him acting in certain ways. She's popping off, getting pissed off about it. This creates a lot of dissonance, and things just degenerate from there. I do think that, I think Johnny is an asshole. I think Johnny probably has initiated some form of rude behavior towards her. I think that this is definitely true. But in my opinion, it seems like every single bit of evidence is that Amber Heard has initiated all of the physical confrontations and physical violence. It seems that way to me. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think so. And then also, like, you know, Johnny Depp getting darker and more unhappy over time. What does that indicate to me? Well, that probably indicates to me that he was getting abused, right? I mean, I think that's the way anybody would feel over time. Yeah, that's what it is. He gets violent when drunk. Well, it's very different. Like, getting violent and, like, trashing a place or something like that, in my opinion, is a completely different universe than getting violent and abusing somebody, especially in the way that Amber Heard said that she was abused. So I'm not saying that this is happening or not, but like whatever. I disagree. I think the drug thing is highly exaggerated and she's a control freak who's abusive, trying to smear his name as much as possible. I don't know. I think that Johnny Depp is probably on drugs a lot. He's probably smoking weed and he's drinking all the time. Is he doing a million different drugs at the same time? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think that this is a guy who's very familiar with doing drugs and probably does them on a regular basis. I think we can admit. We can probably admit on that. We can get together with that. I think that seems fair. Yeah, sure. Well, what this court case is even about? The op-ed. I think Amber's lost enough credibility for Johnny to win. Yeah, exactly. Trashing your place is self-destructive behavior. Yeah, but it's not hitting somebody. Depp lose, hardcore, sad but true. Doesn't matter what Amber did. Her word is more valuable than all potential evidence. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's taking what she's saying seriously. I feel like, ironically, today was one of the best days for Amber Heard's arguments and for her position, and it was because she wasn't talking. That was why it was good, is because there was no performance, there was nothing. It was just like her friends telling people what had happened. And what is the commonality between all of these things is that all of her friends said that they never saw any of this, and they never witnessed any of it at all, any physical confrontations whatsoever. They both abusing each other, most likely. Well, to me, like, as I've said before, I think the person who initiates a physical conflict like that is the person who is in the wrong. I've said this multiple times, and I will stick by this. I think somebody who is starting and causing this stuff to happen is the person who is wrong. And anybody, it's like, if you retaliate, in my opinion, I think that's self-defense, so it's completely different. And what's funny is none of them are her friends still. I think that is an indicator, right? That is kind of weird that all of these people are all no longer friends with Amber Heard. That I think that is and again, it's not like this in itself proves anything. And this is kind of what I've said with the entire thing, right? Is that none of these people, none of these things individually, besides, like, I think, like, what is, like, the really, really, really damning evidence? Well, I think the main one is the video and Johnny Depp's finger, because these are both quantifiable. You saw it. It is what it is. You see what I'm saying? And, like, audio recordings. Everything else besides that, this is all, in my opinion, different degrees of hearsay. Did this happen? Did it not happen? Nobody really knows. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, nobody really knows. Only his attorneys could rebuttal the witnesses and ask, why are you not friends with her? Well, it doesn't really matter why they're not friends with her. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a lot of these things that kind of all come together. When are they going to ask about pooping on the bed? Well, they're not going to ask about that because these are Amber's witnesses. These are Amber's witnesses, and they're not Johnny Depp's witnesses. So these people are going to basically tell Amber's side of things. And, like, really, what are these witnesses there to do? And I think this is actually a very deceptive thing that people might not realize is what's happening, is that these witnesses are here to basically repeat the story that Amber told to them. And in almost all of these cases, like with the girl, the Raquel Pennington, with the guy, like every single one of them, none of them are actually bringing in any new information. They are just repeating the same story that Amber told all of them collectively, which is what would make sense. Now, the makeup artist saying that she remembers Amber Heard's face, etc., I think that was a little bit compelling. And as I said before, even Johnny Depp, whenever he was on the stand, said very clearly that he did accidentally, according to him, obviously he said this accidentally, he hit her head, he hit her head with his head, right? And she said that you headbutted me, etc. So even he admitted that this happened. It's not like this is a secret or anything like that. This clearly happened. Now, I think that, like, a lot of these cases, like, let me see here. Let me read some of these. This is the best piece of evidence that she had. Yeah, exactly. And, like, this was already established. People already know this. Toxic with abusive. Johnny was toxic but not abusive, unlike Amber. Yes, I think so. I think that's a good point. Oh, yeah, and then Johnny Depp being controlling. I think that it's probably a combination. I think that, like, with something like this, I've never been in a relationship like this before, but I feel like it's probably a vicious circle where the person is like cheating and, like, you know, kind of trying to break your boundaries, and then you start being more controlling, and then they start pushing back more, and it becomes like an arms race, you know? I think that's what happens. Also, it's not like Johnny Depp really was wrong. And that's really what it is, right? It's not like he was wrong. Even the guy who was her own witness, said that he personally saw her, you know, bringing guys over to the house at least 30 times. That's what he said. This is at night whenever Johnny Depp was not home. Isn't that interesting? Now, is that 30 different people, or is that the same person 30 times? I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. But overall, it seems very obvious that these people are being brought over probably not for tea. Okay? That's basically it. And Elon and James need to hit the stands. There's no shot that's going to happen, man. Yeah, all of them said they didn't have Amber Heard, only see the aftermath. Yeah, they only see the aftermath. And also, not only do they only see the aftermath, because, like, let's say there's a universe where they only saw the aftermath, but Amber Heard immediately went to seek medical treatment or something like this, right? But there's no evidence of that either. And there is already previous evidence of Amber Heard not only being a liar, but there's also evidence of her, being abusive. There's video evidence of this happening. And like, if you watch any of the audio recordings of Amber Heard during the relationship, she sounds like a complete fucking psycho. Like, she sounds just like, as I said, she doesn't need to go to jail. She needs to go to church. Like, they need to get a fucking exorcism and get the demons out of this girl. Like, she's fucking psychotic, right? I mean, really, it's almost like it's unnerving to even hear it. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So she's 100%. Yeah, I think she's completely the aggressor. I absolutely think so. And, yeah, audio recording, she isn't aware of being recorded on. Yeah, she acts completely different. So that means that the way she's acting, you know, in these other cases or whatever, witnesses contradicted each other. Well, of course they did, right? And, like, this is just what's going to happen in general. But I don't really think it's a big deal that they contradicted each other as much as it's a big deal on what the overall outcome is. And then the sister, again, like, let's talk a little bit more about the sister. This is, again, like a huge statement about how, you know, like, Jennifer Howell provided a place for Whitney, Amber's sister, to stay. And then Whitney got really mad because Jennifer provided a testimony, an authentic testimony. And by the way, there is no reason really for like Whitney, as far as I know, to have any real relationship, or sorry, Jennifer, to have any real relationship with Johnny Depp that is beneficial to her. And if anything, it would be the opposite, because she had an existing relationship with Amber Heard. And then also, to go back and to further bolster my opinion that Amber Heard is a narcissist that is doing this for attention, I want to go ahead and look at this one right here, where she's talking about why the money was donated. So Amber Heard, you know, had received an award from the Art of Elysium, and she had worked with them for a very long period of time. So all the money would go to the ACLU and the LA Children's Hospital. Well, luckily for actually nobody, right? But you can't feel bad. Hopefully Jennifer doesn't feel bad, because nobody got any money to begin with, unless Elon was donating it. I asked Amber's publicist why, and when Amber had been so eager to use our name in the press during the divorce, and when the funds would mean so much to a small organization like ours, why would Amber direct all this money to these other two huge charities that she had not been associated with? Amber's publicist told me that they were more prominent charities with a more significant press reach and got international press. So 3 months later, a $250,000 donation came into our organization from an anonymous donator on behalf of Amber Heard. The funds did not come from Amber. I believe this donation came from Elon. So basically, that's the way I see it, right? Is so, and this was an anonymous private donation, him just doing what he thought was the right thing. So that's crazy that he would do that, right? That's absolutely insane. Rocket Man, yeah, exactly. So it's very obvious that whenever she was perceiving this, whenever she was looking at this divorce, I think this does indicate that she is doing this very, very mindfully, with like, I guess, like, what's the way to say it? She is very mindful while doing this. The mindfulness of this is primarily focused around the optics of it. It's primarily focused around how it looks. So that's why she's doing it. Yeah, she's knowingly doing this in order to bolster and increase her image. And she had even released this statement, right? And I think this also sounds a little bit Machiavellian, right? Where she had even planned, and she acknowledged this. She even said this was the plan. But it's important to take this into consideration whenever you think about what her motives for other things are, is that she had planned, and she admitted and acknowledged this, that she had wanted to release the article at the same time that her ACLU partnership was beginning to, I guess, further like increase her image. So this has clearly happened in many other cases. It's been very calculated, and she's planned it out publicly and privately, and she's even admitted some of this in itself. Isn't it very weird that all of her friends on cameras, or all Johnny Depp's friends went in person? All of her friends were on camera. All of Johnny Depp's friends were in person. I do think that's a little bit weird. Yeah, sure. I think so. I think that there's a lot of things that are weird about this. I'll say that for sure. But it's very obvious that Amber Heard only took the $7 million instead of the $32 million that she claims that she was entitled to because of the optics of it. I think that Amber is not a person who cares about money. I think she's telling the truth. I think that Amber Heard is a person who cares about their own ego, and she cares about her own perception and how she's seen. She's even said this multiple times in her own testimonies that all I have is my word, right? This is all I have in my name. So what is her primary focus? Well, it's keeping her word and her name clean. That's really all it comes down to. Amber's countersuing to 100 million, though? Well, yeah, of course they're just going to go back and forth. The numbers don't really matter that much. But anyway, so do you kind of see where I'm coming from? If she didn't care about the money, she would have donated it. Well, no, I disagree. Because there's not an opportunity cost. Because she already got the good press for saying she was going to donate it. Why would she donate it? She already got what she wanted out of it. Of course, it's like, so basically, if she has to make a decision between ego and money, she'll choose ego. But with this, she didn't have to make that decision. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Because she already got the good press for saying that. I disagree. Why? Why am I wrong on that? Yeah, I'm saying, like, okay, so imagine it like this, okay? All right, I'll just do it like this. This is very easy. This is my understanding, okay? Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can figure out a way to explain this. It was a win-win, yeah. Yeah, basically, let me see. Ego greater than money, right? Claim that you don't want money. Say you will donate the money, right? Then, you get a lot of press, equals ego wins. Then you don't donate. No one notices, and that's true. Nobody really did notice. You keep money because ego has already won. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that a good way for me to kind of explain my perspective on this? It's a double win. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think that I'm wrong about this. Now maybe that's not true. And I'm not gonna really argue about this or say like, oh, guaranteed this is what it is. But this is just my opinion on what I think happened. That's all. Yeah, this is my opinion on what I think happened. I think that one thing that we do know is that she did not donate the money, and she already got the good press for it. So in her mind, it wasn't necessary to donate the money anymore because the donation had already served its goal. It had already served its goal of attracting positive press, so it was no longer necessary for her to follow through with it. And that's true, by the way. A lot of people were not talking about the fact that she didn't donate the money until this trial came up. This was not a big popular topic. People were not bringing this up. I had never heard about this before. So yeah, it actually worked. And so, yeah, there you go. Maybe she prolonged donating the money to get even more press whenever she followed through. And that's also another possibility, is that she wasn't going to do that yet, and she wanted to do it so she could donate it and kind of double dip at the same time. Absolutely. And like, yeah, sure. She only pledged. Yeah, actually donating the money can be an ego boost as well, further cementing yourself as a good person, right? I don't think that, to be honest, I'm not, that's too much psychology in there. I don't really know how to, I don't know how to even approach that or say what I think is true or not with there. Double dip theory is giving her too much credit. She ain't that smart. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that are, you know, I wouldn't really say sociopath, psychopath, but people that think like this, right? A lot of them are very cunning in how they make decisions that benefit them, because that's all they do. That's the thing that they have the most experience with, right? As soon as you can see it and you're looking at things through that lens, it becomes much less subversive, but at the same time, you can still see it. So you can invest the money and donate in times. Yeah, exactly, and make the money off of it. I think she's smart and well-articulated. She's always been able to control the narrative. Well, I think that she's been able to control the narrative because of other people and not because of herself. And I think it's more nothing proves that more than today, where today people are saying that, you know, today was Amber's best day in court, which ironically is the only day that Amber didn't fucking say anything. So I don't think that's even entirely true either. She's greedy and cunning. Remember how much you already took from Johhny? That depends, right? When you base your donation decision off a press appeal, I doubt she's going to follow through by donating her total net worth. That will probably not happen. And so anyway, a lot of this stuff has already happened. I feel like there are some, like, what would be the, like, what is the most damning thing for Johnny Depp in this whole situation? What would you guys say? What makes him look the worst? I think probably just the sister. The sister, like, to me, the drug use, yeah, it's like the drug use and all of that. I feel like the headbutt, the messages, I think that the makeup artist, who, by the way, was employed by Amber Heard this whole time and had never seen any of this happen, her saying that it actually happened that way, I think that's it, drug and alcohol. See, like, in my mind, I feel like the drugs and alcohol component is, like, kind of irrelevant. Because there's a lot of people who do drugs and alcohol and never abuse anybody. And there's other people that abuse people and they never have drugs and alcohol. You know, it's a, now this is obviously a, I don't know, force multiplier, you could say. And it seems like whenever Johnny Depp gets drunk or high or whatever the fuck, you know, he goes on a rager, but it doesn't mean that that rager is focused on Amber on a physical level, right? He's not, you know, destroying, he's not hurting her, and there's no evidence of that either. Different types of abuse, though. Yeah, sure. I mean, you could argue that, but you don't really know, like, how a lot of this stuff started. And again, like, it's very hard to see in almost all of the cases where Amber Heard had her, whenever she had her witnesses come on, almost every single one of them said that there was never a situation where Johnny Depp was, like, I would say, like, probably the initiator of this. Almost all of them were Amber Heard and Johnny Depp arguing and them kind of being in the middle of it. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, and they also, the vast majority of domestic abuse happens under the influence of alcohol, though. You can't just ignore it. Well, I think that you can't ignore it, but you can't automatically assume that that's what happened. Does that make sense? So, like, I think that you would be right in a lot of cases, but with this case, I don't think that's necessarily true because of every single thing that's been indicated and all of the evidence that indicates the opposite. You seen testimony from Amber Heard's sister and his employer? Yes, I did see that. We looked at it earlier, and it very clearly made it sound like Amber Heard's sister was not only a liar, but it showed that she was more than willing to change and alter evidence, and even, I don't know about, like, witness tampering or something like this, but basically something to that effect, where she's obviously talking about this thing, she's being unhappy, that this other Jen decided to cooperate, based whether or not she got subpoenaed or not, she clearly cooperated with the investigation. and anything he can and will use against you, say good or bad, to hurt us. And so this is clearly, and also, like, I would say that sometimes whenever people, like, one time I had a girlfriend that always thought I was cheating on her, and then I found out that she was cheating on me. You guys ever had something like that happen? Yes, okay. So anyway, I think sometimes it's very enlightening to see what somebody is accusing the other person of doing. And sometimes it is more of a reflection of themselves than necessarily the other person. Do you guys see kind of what I'm saying? Now, obviously, it's projection. Yes, basically projection. So whenever she assumes that this is what Johnny Depp is going to do, is a vindictive liar. And also, again, I feel like the worst one probably was the first girl, like the one that everybody said was super boring. And I think that she was the one that was probably the worst. And also, I found it to be very odd that of like how she communicated to her boyfriend at the time, or fiance, or as I said, whatever, right? That Johnny Depp had pushed her, and then that guy got so mad, and then she says that Johnny Depp had never physically assaulted her, right? I feel like these two things are very, it's like an obvious inconsistency. If anyone does just any points to being disingenuous and everything is, if they agree with them, yeah, exactly. You see the police body cam footage? Yeah, exactly. Contracts Rocky's boyfriend's deposition. Police body cam footage is on YouTube. Shows no puddles of wine or any glass. Well, that's true. Yeah, I know that. Could be his drug and drinking abuse was his way of coping with the verbal abuse or escapism. And there's also that too, right? Is that, you know, Johnny Depp continues to drink and do more drugs because this girl that he's in love with is ruining his life. I mean, a lot of people do drugs to cope with trauma. They do drugs to cope with, you know, some form of really bad thing in their life. Now, there's some people that just do them because they think they're fun, and yeah, that's just what they like to do, right? And I think with Johnny Depp, it could probably be both. Yeah, that's probably what it is. He started doing drugs when he was abused as a child, so it does make sense his drug habit would pick up again after abuse. Yeah, I mean, I think so. So let me read some comments here, and then I'll talk about some other stuff, too. It's weird how first girl changed her appearance and mood 180, talking the same day. Well, she didn't, she did. Like, the girl had her lawyer there with her for the Johnny Depp deposition, and she did not have her lawyer there. It did not seem, it was not on camera, and there was no indication of the fact whenever she was with Amber Heard's deposition. So it seems very clear that, you know, there's a reason for that. And, yeah. Boswell's behavior while high changed after she started abusing him, and there's that too. Yeah, sure. I feel like with a lot of types of domestic abuse situations that at least I've heard of, there's always escalation. There's always, like, you know, somebody makes a rude comment, then somebody yells at the other person, and the other person throws something at them. Then the other person after that throws, you know, something back at them and hits them, and then they hit each other, right? It's just like it happens. Sometimes there isn't, you're right. Sometimes there isn't, but I think that this is a commonality. Today turns the tide in Amber's favor, or at the end of the day, it's a bunch of people who said the same things on a single incident. Well, I think these are a bunch of people. Here's my honest opinion. Like, absurdities, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate that. My honest opinion with this whole topic is that I have, like, this has not changed my opinion at all. Because I knew that she had those injuries that had happened. She said that. Johnny Depp said that. Everybody knew that happened. Whether she covered it up with makeup or not. Like, I've had to have the times where I've, you know, kind of turned on whenever I was in, like, a really, really bad situation. And then I have to go live and I have to completely fucking, act different, right? And, like, that's it. Like, I've had to do that myself. And, like, I don't even want to talk about the examples why I've had to do that. But, you know, it happens. It does. And you just have to, it's like you've got to, you know, detach and just put on the show or do what you need to do, right? And that's it. And it's got to be hard. Of course it's hard. It's the same as anybody goes to work, right? You go to work, you interact with your employees. Obviously, streaming's different because you have thousands of people, like, you know, micro-analyzing your movement. And, you know, you have to constantly be on. You can't just, like, take, like, 5 or 10 minutes to yourself, right? Streaming is, like, constant on, right? But I think a lot of you guys have probably had this same kind of thing happen before, right? You go to work, things are fucked in your real life, and you have to go to work, put on a smile, and do what you need to do. So maybe streaming, it's a little bit more pronounced, but I think a lot of people can relate to this in any regard, right? Yeah. Extremely taxing? It is. Of course it is. There's a lot of things that aren't. And so anyway, don't hire an outsider like an acting coach and tell her your personal life in detail, let alone a socialized bottle of broken rape. Gardner worked 17 years for me and never even told them my name. She planned this since day one and fills outsiders with lies, useless lies, zero proof still. I think that it's a little bit more complicated than that with an acting coach, for sure. And also, it depends on the relationship that you have with that person. Like, for example, one of our mechanic that we had, my dad and I, he was a guy that used to work with my dad, and then he also did mechanic stuff on the side. We knew all about him. We talked to him pretty regularly. And it's the same thing with other people, too, right? It's not always one or another, so I don't think that's necessarily the case. But what I do think that people should take away from this is that all of these people have corroborated a story that Amber Heard has told them. That is fundamentally what happened. All of these people have repeated a story that they have been told by Amber Heard. And I think that because you just keep hearing more and more and more of these people over and over, it starts to lend some sort of validity to it in your mind because you keep hearing different people saying the same thing. Well, of course they're going to say the same thing because they were told the same thing. But they also say the same thing whenever they're asked, was Johnny Depp abusive to her? Did you ever hit her? Is there anything like this happen? All of them say no. So no, I don't think that there's, in my opinion, like I'm a cold hard evidence kind of guy. And if I can't see evidence, I don't want to try to crystal ball predict the future with this, right? Try to read people's minds. I fucking hate doing this because you're always wrong. And it's like, so like whenever I see Johnny Depp's fingers gone, I wonder what happened, right? And also on top of that, then she says that he drew it. Like all of the weird stories that she says. Because I would view all of these people, it's like you want to look at it as like a pyramid, right? And at the top of the pyramid, the witnesses that matter the most are Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So whenever she says something that happened, in my opinion, that contradicts or takes precedence over any of her other witnesses saying something else happened. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? And so, yeah, they just think about enough. It's a reality, and that isn't how the world works. Well, that's just enough people think. That is, in a way, how the world works. Unfortunately, you're kind of wrong about that, but I know what you're saying. They have to say no because they didn't see it happening with their own eyes. Almost all domestic abuse occurs behind closed doors. Does it appear behind no medical records at all? The police show up. There's never anything that happens with the police. No real pictures that can guaranteed indicate that. It's like, yes, there is always the case that you have to understand. We live in a world where almost anything is possible, and almost anything is possible. Is it possible that Amber Heard is telling the truth about the vast majority of what she's saying? Yes, it is. And do you want to know why we all know that's possible? It's because we have a trial. Because if everybody already knew what was going to happen, and that's the way the world worked, we wouldn't need trials. The reason why we have trials is because in a lot of these cases, we don't know what really happened, and we try to get as close to the truth as possible. And every single time, it's going to be it's not going to be 100% accurate. State of New York is required to arrest someone for 24 hours during domestic abuse call due to all murder-suicides over the years. I don't know. Aren't they trying to lay the foundation of a case of emotional abuse instead? I have no idea. I really have no idea. There are 3 stories to argument to hers and the truth. Yeah, exactly. Sure. The witnesses use the same abbreviations and terminology as well. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Sure, I think so. Alex's father was hitting her, and trust me, you can easily see pictures of trauma weeks after it happened. Yeah, and that's another thing, right? Is like it's very easy to go and see, especially whenever you listen to Amber Heard's firsthand account of what happened, and then you look at other people who had been in similar situations, like the Rihanna case, that's the most popular one, and you see Johnny Depp, who's basically wearing brass knuckles with how many rings he has, and you see these other people, and they're just fucking, like, their face is just completely different. And Amber Heard has, like, a blemish on her face, or, you know, like some, you know, it looks like she hasn't slept in 40 hours, right? I mean, this is just, like, these are, like way different, and there's, like, no skin tearing or anything like that. It's crazy. The black tape redaction is holding monopoly evidence. I don't know yet. Either Johnny's an Elden Lord or Amber's lying. Well, if Johnny was an Elden Lord, I think he'd also be able to do more damage, don't you think? And he didn't. Like, how does this happen? Like, yeah, it didn't bleed either. Yeah, exactly. None of them saw the bleeding. That's another good point. Good example is Christine Mack, domestic assault. Her face was changed permanently. Yeah. Will Johnny's witnesses be brought in? I will assume that will happen tomorrow. Absolutely. But yeah, closing thoughts on this. I feel like my opinion on this has not really changed at all. This has always been what I've said, is that I think that, you know, this definitely went both ways, but it was initiated by Amber Heard. Which I think, by the way, as I've said many times, makes her wrong and him not wrong. I don't think that you are equally wrong for responding to physical violence with physical violence. I don't think that makes you wrong at all. I don't think it's like, oh, it's a wash, or, oh, they both did something wrong. No. If you have physical violence enacted on you, I think you are well within your right to defend yourself or even retaliate however you feel necessary. That's how I feel. Like, I live in Texas, okay? That's how we do things around here. Don't start nothing if you don't want nothing. That's it. So let's go over. I want to look at some other stuff, and then I want to talk about some stuff as well, right? And just kind of go over a bunch of stuff. I'll refresh this real quick, and we'll go from there. Now, Majora got in a fight with Ranks. His hands got fucked up from that, too. So shouldn't Johnny have had big injuries on his hands if he punched that hard with them? Yes, he should have. This is Mooney. I've been to watch Pirates of the Caribbean and the escape from the sadistic bitch from Atlantis. Yeah, that's about right. Fucking owned. Yeah, hopefully they get some more of Johnny's interviews. When you reviewed Mike Tyson's case, you said violence is never the answer, even if others hit you first. Violence is never the answer, even if others hit you first. If I remember right, like, I know you're trying to do like a but you said or gotcha thing. That's not what I said. Because if that was what I said, then I wouldn't have concluded that Mike Tyson was in the right. But I did. So you're obviously wrong. Of course there's more nuance to it. Yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to place blame on somebody for doing that. Yeah, I said that Mike Tyson... I didn't care Mike Tyson punched the guy in the face. That's what he gets. Probably the best day of his life. Got punched in the face by Mike Tyson. Who can say that? Twist my words. Yeah, exactly. Who's trying to gotcha? Yeah, just like stupid fucking comments like that. All right, here we go. Is this the same witness that swore under oath that he and Amber didn't do coke? Huh. That's an interesting shirt. That is a very interesting... Wow, look at that. That is crazy. Very, very interesting, gentlemen. I can't believe it. Wow. It looks a lot like, the more I see this, the more it looks like he probably did cocaine. You know, like it just, you know, it kind of just gives off that kind of vibe a little bit. I don't know. That's the way it seems to me. All right, let's look at the rest of this shit. Yeah, okay. All right, let's see here. Thought it was Quinn, had to do a double take. Okay. According to his tweet, he took pics of Lily Rose Depp without Johnny's permission, used it as a campaign, and then twisted her words about her sexuality, which is wild. What the fuck? For reference, at the time, Lily Rose was 16, and at that time, and is Johnny's kid from his previous relationship. Amber's not her mother. Johnny, as far as I can tell, has been one of the celebrities very protective of his kids. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. I was baffled by how easily they speak about drugs. That's what normal people do. All my friends do the same thing. Yeah, all my friends do the same thing. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not normal, but like, yeah, all of my friends act the same, they talk the same, it's about the same. Yeah, that's whatever. Let's see here, it's a groomer. I mean, she's 16 at the time. I think groomer is like one of those things that like I don't like saying about people because it's just like it's such a bad thing. I don't want to devalue it. But this is really bad. You see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, it's really, really bad. Yeah, it's really bad. Let's see here. It seems like swearing under oath is most likely a pinky promise these times. Well, it will take time for them to work all that out. And, you know, these things take time. Justice takes a while, unfortunately. Asmon this past week. What is this? Good morning, sunshine. Well, this is too fucking true. I have to wake up at 7:30 in the fucking morning. I hate waking up at 7:30. I do. This is fucking awful. It's terrible. I wish they'd cut it shorter. Like, can we start at, like, I don't know, 10 or something? So I can do my intro and then watch it. Jesus. It's brutal. I gotta do it, right? That's what you gotta do. I was gonna watch the trial. It's what people want to see. But goddamn, it's fucking early. Yeah, exactly. Some good content, though. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. And I'll be very glad to get back to the normal content. I'll say that for sure. Although I've been enjoying this a lot. And I like doing this. I like kind of talking about stuff and just doing general commentary stuff. It's something I to be honest, enjoy a lot more than gaming. Yeah, that's the truth.